Hello everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. This week, I know it's kind of beating a dead horse here, but we actually have more raiding stuff to talk about, but I'm just going to talk about the most recent raids. We're actually going to compare recent raids to some of the older stuff and how they compare to each other. So, joining me, as usual, is the regular co-host with the most, Slyh, a.k.a. Slythefox, a.k.a. Slyh, a.k.a. Greyfox, a.k.a. Slycena, a.k.a. You my boy, Blue!
Slycena. Okay, I got a question for you.
Wait, I didn't even get to introduce our guest yet.
Wait, no, I got a question.
What
Okay.
guest?
I got a question.
Okay.
Is Champ here?
Who?
Champ. Is Champ here?
I don't remember what the response is. Sly, you don't even have your soundboard right now. I don't know where this is going.
I don't have my soundboard set up for this shit. I would do it if I had it, but...
Oh my god. Anyway, before he leaves us out of boredom, we also have a guest this episode. Now, some of you may remember last month when we said we would be having a regular guest once a month, the same person. Well, joining us is your lore man, the... I had the nickname ready, but I can already picture Ethys' thing. Lore man was not the nickname, by the way.
Lore correspondent, damn it. It's
okay. Our local lore correspondent, Ethys the Moon Man Asher. There we go.
Fuck you!
That's exactly what I was expecting.
Yes!
Ethys the Moon Man
Son
Asher.
of a bitch.
I don't know how you didn't see that coming.
I was ready for it. I was like, no matter what it is, I'm gonna keep level-headed. Fuck you, Mike. Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
And just for the record, like a couple of months ago, Sly and we would have been calling you a special guest. So,
well,
I didn't call me a guest. I'm not a guest.
Sorry, I was raiding.
I know where the fridge is. It's cool. We're cool.
I know where the fridge is. It's cool. Well, there's no fridges on the moon, even though there's cheese. Anyway, see, quick.
I'm terrible.
done.
That was terrible. No,
that was excellent.
3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Do better.
3 out of 10. Well, Pook gave it a negative 3 out of 10 before. Anyway, so moving on to the actual show. So, it's been a few weeks. We've been bringing up Savage a lot on the show lately. However, we've kind of just been talking about Savage the way it is now. And we also haven't really had Ethys on the show since Savage came out. So we also kind of want a fresh perspective on the things we're going to be talking about now. So we want to talk about 14 rating as a whole, really, not just Savage. The learning curve that involves with it, overall preparedness of the community, going back to Coil and how that really prepared anyone going forward. You know, how prepared was everyone really for Savage and what it was actually going to bring? You know, are new players trying to get into raiding?
Prepared.
Come on, just because Legion was announced and he's coming back doesn't mean we have to do the whole "you're not prepared" thing.
You are not prepared.
I mean,
Personally, like my group, we were kind of over-prepared because we were expecting it to be... We were expecting Faust to be like some really fucking scary thing, and kind of wasn't. That's not a popular opinion, but I don't know.
Faust
you really
Sensei.
don't think we were prepared, Sly?
I'll get into that in a minute. I'll definitely get into that in a minute because I have a personal opinion on the comparison between first through final Coil and where we're at now. Like, spoiler alert, I don't think we were. But
honesty.
Yeah, honestly. But let's start there. Let's start with first Coil. Like binding Coil of Bahamut. Because that's where it all started. That's where the raiding started. Like this, for me, this is my first raid. This is my first experience into raiding. First real MMO, everything. You know, it's kind of like I was kind of like a team that was supposed to get to the that wasn't supposed to get to the Super Bowl, but actually got there. I was just happy to be there. I wasn't prepared for the shit. I didn't know what the fuck is going on. I had no idea what to do. And I got there and it was like, okay, you know, 1 through 4. It was like, okay, it's fine. And then, you know, I hit Twintania and that was just a fucking brick wall. But what was what were your introductions to first coil like? What was it like? Because for me, it was like I came in late. I came in probably later than y'all did, and learning raid mechanics and everything, you know, learning what to do in a serious kind of setting. It was meh. You know, 1 through 4, like I said, 1 through 4 was meh, and then Quintonia hit. So, what was your experience? What were your experiences like? I'll start like Ethys, since you are our lore correspondent and guest. What was your experience like first?
Where's the lore in it? What's that got to do with me being whatever?
That's just your title.
Honestly,
that's just your title.
Or
okay,
Moon Man.
okay.
I mean, whichever one.
No, he's gonna prefer
Moon Man. Jeez. Yeah, Lady Rewind just picked it in the chat. I was in a bit of a dud group for a while in First Coil. The Australian experience for First Coil was quite interesting because we had that built-in latency, and then you're piling kind of another 300 ms on top of that. So it was pretty rough. Twintonia was rough anyway. Honestly, First Coil was like, where were the mechanics? It was so easy. It was, you know, learning how to silence, learning movements, learning, you know, dealing with your aggro if you're a healer. It really wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really think it was that big a deal.
Well, as someone who went in, literally, it was, you know, I think I finished the 4th turn by September 2nd, which was 5 days after the game came out, maybe even sooner.
That's bullshit.
I'd have to check my achievements. What? Are you kidding me? I was done with First Coil like before the game even launched in early access.
No, I believe you. But what I'm saying is that like that just sort of shows that it was kind of. I mean, we were all saying that in like 2.0, 2.1 that the difficulty was just not really there compared to other MMOs that were running.
No, absolutely not. It was, I'd say, the only place that really checked. I know that we had, like you said, the built-in latency. I knew a lot of people who could do Titan hard mode, and I think back then may have been the only time I honestly accepted that, or living in like a country that was far away on top of the built-in latency. Like, it made perfect sense if someone had a hard time doing Titan hard mode back then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was bullshit over here.
And then you came into Coil, and it was like the first boss latency didn't matter all too much.
Right.
But you have to consider, ultimately, what it came down to with the first boss in Coil 1, I literally just said, can we just ignore the slimes? And that's ended up being how we won the fight, was ignoring a mechanic.
Yeah.
That's the very first boss you're introduced to.
So what is that, like, what does that say about preparation in terms of, like, second coil or further coils? Like, just right then and there, you're just ignoring a mechanic. But you can't do that. Like, there were some things you could do in second coil, some things you could ignore, some things you couldn't. And then first coil, just completely throw out a mechanic.
That was kind of the theme of First Coil, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. You just threw out mechanic. Then you had the second one. Listen, okay, when we beat the second one, nobody knew about Enrage Strat, okay? Like,
I was the same.
We had to pass Rot. Okay. Now, granted, we still bypassed that mechanic by figuring out exactly the timings for the pass and then just stacking together and letting it happen on its own.
Right.
So even that mechanic in some way was completely ignored once you got past the 5th person getting it. And then it was just a matter of were people lagging, not getting hit by a fucking laser and getting one shot, which is pretty much the only remaining mechanic, or were your melee lagging and not able to get out of the circle AoE under the boss. And then Turn 4 was actually a lot of fun. Turn 4 was, I don't think there was ever a mechanic that was skipped in Turn 4.
Right.
And when it was brand new, the gear check was incredibly intense.
Yeah, it was real.
And keep in mind at this point, we're talking about full I-70, not full I-170. That would,
yeah.
That's what it's like now. That's a totally different story. It was real. I mean, and you also have to remember a lot of the T1 and T2 was done with maybe average item level 60 to 65. Like, we didn't have these minimum item levels chilling like we do here. But then you get to Turn 5.
And I think I know where you're gonna go. And I'm gonna throw this out here. Like, I'm gonna put an asterisk on this subject because when we're talking about First Coil, we're leaving 3 out. We're gonna totally complete. Like, personally speaking, I'm leaving 3 out because it's just a fucking rat race.
I have so many funny things to say about
it. It's just a rat race. Like, the funniest thing, like, my first first time going in turn 3, like, I watch videos for everything. And shout out to Mistech. Love you. Hi, everyone.
Sly, please don't.
Shut up. No.
I've had to hear you do the. Listen, we haven't had her on the show in ages. That's not helping get her back.
Yeah, but shout out to Mistech. I go to watch her video. It's like, hi everyone, welcome to the visual. Like, why the hell are you here? I'm like, okay, fine, fuck it. I'm not watching the rest of this. And then I actually get in, and yeah, I really didn't need to watch anything about this.
Nobody needed to watch anything.
It's a fucking rat race. Like, they show me, like, Sly, we're going to tell you how to do this. And they show me how to, like, we really don't do anything, do we? Nope.
Everyone just goes a tank and you see who can make it to the bottom first.
I love turn 3. That was so much fun.
I know, right?
It's a rat race.
That's what made it so fun. It was the completely mindless thing to do where nobody cared, and it was way harder than it ever needed to be because everyone was just trying to bullshit it the whole way through. It was a nice break. I would never want them to develop anything like that again, but it was a nice break. Oh, I'm sorry. They have been making content like that. They're called hard mode dungeons. Anyway.
Oh!
I don't have a controller. It's over there. Anyway. I'm sorry. It had to be done. But, yeah. Now I have the reverse problem. I keep calling turn 1 through 4 A1 through 4. A1, damn it, I just did it again. T1 through 4 was beaten in like a weekish, collectively, amongst all of them.
Okay, but then everybody hit that brick wall, which was T5, Twintania. Why did people assume or kind of get the sense that this was quote-unquote impossible?
Because it was bugged.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's fucking broken. Like,
I want to be clear. We're not even talking about twisters.
No.
They literally, the fight was offline for 3 weeks because people kept breaking it and bugging out the boss because they would make it unable to attack. You could sleep conflagrations to prevent them from going off.
Wait. I hadn't heard that. You were sleeping conflagration.
Yeah, if somebody got conflagration, instead of killing it, you would cast sleep on it, and then when it wore off, it was an
actual like target, like an actual like moving real life target that you could sleep.
Yeah. When you cast sleep on it, when the effect was supposed to explode, it would just wear off, and the person would be freed. Yes, those are the kind of bugs we're talking about here. Like, there was at least 24 bugs with that fight. That's just one of them. That actually made the fight harder because you didn't generate limit break.
So, pretty much what we're getting at is the first coil wasn't the learning curve for us, it was the learning curve for the devs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I mean, you gotta expect that, don't you?
Especially coming from, like, Final Fantasy XI being some of their only backgrounds, and I know Yoshi P worked on Dragon Quest. Like, those aren't exactly games that are going to give you real raid development experience.
Right. So, how do you think the whole turn 1 experience affected players' quote-unquote mindsets? Because going in, like, first time raiding ever, didn't really have a mindset. I didn't really have anything. I mean, I took turn 5 a little bit more serious than 1 through 4, but I didn't have a kind of raid mindset until like way later. That's when I actually took raid seriously. But how do you feel like it affected a lot of people's mindsets?
Man. 16 months later, I still haven't beaten turn 5. That's the only thing that comes to mind. Like, I've heard that so many times, and I don't feel like I don't feel like it's those people's mindsets that it concerns me. It's the people that alongside them didn't seem motivated enough to even beat turn 5 back in the day.
Right.
I don't think generally a lot of people didn't care.
Ethys, what do you think?
I think first coil for me anyway, it was all about dealing with raid anxiety, I guess. Is that when I first went in there, I was kind of, really nervous, and the latency problems didn't really help that. And by the time I was farming turn 5, I just felt really confident with the game and with the classes that I was playing, and I was sort of in a position where I guess I felt like any new fight that would be thrown to me, I would sort of feel quite confident in getting into it. So yeah, I think it was a solid introduction, because we've got to remember that we were all learning our jobs at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
So
Macro Bard, please don't remind me.
yeah. Oh yeah, jeez. I remember. I hate to call you out on this, Mike.
I just called myself out. Who are you calling?
I remember
out
you
anymore?
doing a fucking video on Bard macros, and I'm just face palming at you.
Please stop. I make fun of myself for that still to this day in my
To be
company.
fair, guys, that was 2013. That was a long time ago.
yeah.
It was
All right.
2 years ago, actually.
It was, yeah. Jesus.
So
Oh, that blows
did
my
we-
mind.
Did we really pick up any kind of skills, like raid wise, from first coil? Did we really pick up anything? Because I know I didn't. It was like,
The cleaves were
yeah,
a thing. People used to get cleaved by Asclepius a lot. I remember that, and going, "Oh my god! Oh, he attacks more than one target. What's going on? Oh, did I get aggro?" Nah, dude. That's how most bosses work.
Asclepius. What? No, isn't Asclepius the snake from turn 5? What the hell is the
Yeah.
boss? Isn't that what the hell is the boss's name from turn 1? I don't even remember.
Turn 1. No, Asclepius is turn 1, isn't it?
Is it?
No,
I don't.
I don't think it's turn 1. No.
Isn't it Hygeia and Asclepius in turn 5, and then turn 1 is something else?
Now you got me.
What the
looking
hell is that
shit up.
boss's name?
You got me looking this shit up. Oh, okay.
Caduceus.
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 There
Thank
we
you.
go. Thank you.
Yeah,
for
that's
the
what I'm
love
talking
of
about.
Jesus.
Okay.
Oh god. That's how little of an impact it had on us. We don't even know.
2013, guys.
That's how shitty of an impact the first coil had on us. I think the only thing I took away is nothing is impossible, and I kind of picked that up from BG beating it before the Twister nerf. Don't ever assume a mechanic is impossible. That's what I took away from first coil.
So fast forward a little bit, and we get to second coil. Plants, mermaids, avatar, nail, bullshit like that. Did anything really improve from turn 1? Did the devs really improve anything in terms of the raid experience or anything like in second coil?
I can't imagine anyone suggesting that they wouldn't, because it was second goal is my favorite by far, I gotta say, but it was just such a step above turn 5 in every single way, in terms of the fight design, in terms of difficulty. Second goal was amazing. It was awesome, and it was when the sort of end game really came into its own.
And for those of y'all in chat, yes, I call Melusine a fucking mermaid, because that's what she is. She's fucking snake area.
There's enough.
She's a
Yeah.
lamia.
I know she's a lamia, but I call her a mermaid because this isn't like lore. Okay, wait. This is the question for the lore correspondent. Wasn't Melusine a mermaid in kind of real world lore? Kind of, maybe I might be wrong.
No.
Thank you. All right, and question answered.
Melusine was pretty much what she is. She was the consort of Kalia. Yeah, she was a Lamia. She was basically what you see.
Lamia, Naga,
Yeah.
any of those things, they're all
Yeah.
kind of from the same mythos a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up. Okay, all right, moving on.
You fucking asked me, dude.
I did. I totally accept the no. Thank you. I mean, I'm wrong lots of times. But what were some examples of the devs listening to us in terms of first coil to the jump to second coil? What were some examples of the devs, like people outcrying for something or anything? Because this is the time where I really didn't, catch any live letters or anything like that, so I didn't know about the questions that were being asked. So what were some examples of the devs actually listening to us in second coil?
Man, I hardly remember the complaints we were making about first coil. What do you reckon, huh?
Turn 2 Enrage. They
Oh yeah, don't ever do that. Yeah, don't ever do that
make
again.
Enrages survivable anymore. It was a big
Yeah.
outcry.
And turn 3, obviously.
And never do anything like turn 3 ever again.
Yeah.
Other than that, it just felt like they learned how to make fights.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that one thing that plagued them even back in Second Coil is they really didn't know how to make a fight that wasn't disjointed. And this followed through to Second Coil. That means, like, a boss that forgets mechanics, basically, between phases. Is like, whatever. I didn't need those mechanics anyway. They clearly weren't working. They did that a lot. In turn 5, literally, it's like, oh, well, my necklace broke. All right, here's some news. Here's 2 new things. Oh, and it broke again. Here's 2 new things. Like, that was all it was. But it felt like they didn't learn more about that until maybe Final Coil. And Second Coil, they still ran into issues of people ignoring mechanics. Turn 6, you had LOS. Actually, I consider LOS to be a more kind of just a game issue. Like, it's just part of the way the game is made. Ignoring the brambles, though, was actually, I guess, kind of a thing. Sly, you're giving me a face like I shouldn't have an opinion about LOS.
No. Keep going.
Melusine had the quadra petrify, so people could ignore kiting the ads. Turn 8, you basically didn't care about when you erupted the tower. You would just stone skin Adlo through it and be like, we don't even need to worry about timing. And turn 9, I'd say turn 9 was more along the lines of people just wanting to make sure you met a certain DPS so they didn't have to do a certain mechanic, aka Heaven's Fall number 3. But overall, the fights were way more fun, way more intense. They all felt like kind of growths from turn 5 to me. Like, they literally said, here's turn 5, we're going to make sure these bosses scale depending on different item level expectations. Sly, your smile is killing me.
Keep going.
What do you got for a Sly?
It was better. Sly, just tell me what it is. What do you got to say?
Oh, he's got someone brewing.
Going back to... Did love that research, aka Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is never wrong.
Oh, he
sarcasm.
Freaking Googled Melusine.
Yep. Fuck it. Okay, Wikipedia. She is usually depicted as a woman who is a serpent or a fish from the waist down, much like a fucking mermaid. Boom! Little mermaid.
That's what Lamias are.
Always green.
So we're both right.
Yeah, you're both right.
We're both right.
Going up there. Stick. Yes.
Damn it.
Boom! All right, keep going. All right, I'm good. Yeah,
what about you,
See,
Sly?
this is you just being salty because you lost the last Eozivia.
Yeah.
I am.
That's what
I handed that shit to you on a
Still haven't
silver
gotten
platter.
over it.
I am.
Yeah, that's all right. The next one, I'll win too. Anyway. So what about you, Sly? Because you started playing in the PS4 era, so that was like February of 2014. So obviously, I mean, you had to beat turn 5 first, but you, like you said, late to the pack. Second Coil was, I guess, your real first rating experience.
We can call it that. I mean, this was all pugged. You had to go back to that. This was all pugged. Rafflesia gave me a lot of trouble, and then turn 7 didn't give me as much trouble as turn 6.
Turn 7 as a melee DPS is a dummy that you turn around from occasionally. Understandable.
Because I didn't have to deal with Renaud's or anything. I mean, there was the occasional fuck up when I,
Petrified the tank.
Yeah, that. Or I didn't get behind the Renaud quick enough. There was that occasional fuck up, but other than that, no. I'll go ahead and say I got lucky on turn 8. I really got so fucking lucky on turn 8 because again, this was pugged. Everything was pugged, and like there was one night when I just decided I'm not gonna stream. I'm just taking a night off. I'll just go into turn 8 for shits and gigs. Just kind of learn it. I did not expect a clear. Somehow, some way, by the grace of Jesus, we got a clear. I was like, I really wanted to go back in as just to prove it wasn't a fluke, but like I'm on turn 9 now. I just don't need to look back. And that was kind of like, in terms of second coil, that was kind of my mindset, was just not to look back. I mean, of course there would be the occasional, somebody needed help in turn 6 or whatnot, and then I'd go back. But like personally speaking, I didn't look back. Once I got to turn 9, I was focused on turn 9. And then that was a lot of people's hugest hurdle, was turn 9, nail. Like, I felt like I got to final coil so late because I was plugging turn 9. Essentially, I was plugging turn 9. Luckily, I got into a party with one of my favorite white mages. Shout out to Como Meteor. You are a fucking awesome white mage. You're my
awesome sauce on amazeballs.
Yes, he is.
All right.
He is. He's one of those white mages I trust with my life, even though I annoy the shit out of him because I'm a melee DPS and take hits.
You mean a dragoon?
Yeah, I take unnecessary hits. Like any melee DPS, i.e. dragoon, like any healer would hate because we're melees. Now, some melees are better than others. I'll go ahead and say I'm not the best melee out there. I intentionally take hits because fuck, I need DPS. But yeah, again, shout out to my white mage. But yeah, it's just T9 was the biggest hurdle for me. It's the biggest hurdle for a lot of people. And from a pug standpoint, it was no fun. It was not fun at all. Going through party finder after party finder after party finder of, okay, we can't get past golems. We got past golems. Next party, we can't get past golems. Next party, we get past golems, we get to Heavenfall, we get to dive bombs. Next party, we can't get past golems. Like, dealing with that bullshit over and over again was kind of discouraging for me for a while. And then finally, I got past T9, and that's when I got the kind of serious sort of raid mindset. So, with that, I'm going to ask you, in second coil, like, what skill sets did you gain from second coil? Because I'm like, again, going from first coil to second coil, this is shit where I feel like I didn't learn anything. I really didn't pick anything up until I got to final coil, and I'll get to that in a minute. But what did y'all gain from second coil?
A lot of people, Sly. A lot of people are suggesting in chat that you may have been hard carried through to turn 9, and maybe that's why you didn't learn anything.
I'll go ahead and wholly admit that. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead.
No, I know, because I mean, you were a bit late to the party, right? You were probably overgeared for most of these things before you started them, right?
Maybe.
All right. Well, let's just say for the sake of argument that you were slightly overgeared. It would have meant that you wouldn't have had that experience of, like, I guess, that experience that you had facing Faust, or that experience of going into turn 6 the first time, where you're just like, wow, and sort of really overwhelmed. You were with people that already knew the fight, and you already had a couple of pieces of gear. I mean, it's easy to kind of just face roll through it. So I mean, the fights were definitely not that hard up until turn 9. I reckon turn 9 was probably the hardest fight that we had in A Realm Reborn.
Yeah.
Even after turn 13 was released.
You know what I took away?
What?
I pretty much accepted the fact that turn 13 was going to have dive bombs and a wall we weren't allowed to touch as soon as I saw them repeat that pattern. I also took away the formula.
So the recycling of coil mechanics.
Not even that. Well, I mean, that was a big thing when I saw that there were dive bombs again. I was like, oh, Jesus, this is going to be a thing, isn't it? Like, turn 13's absolutely going to... Because at that point, I expected 4 bosses, and because just, if you include turn 3, it was 4 boss, 4 boss. I, at that point, figured it was going to be 4 bosses again. The walls were deadly in both 5 and 9. And the other thing I took away was that there's a formula for bosses. And Final Coil absolutely adhered to that formula on every single boss. The formula is boss phase, add phase, boss phase. Occasionally, add phase, boss phase again. And especially with turn 5 and turn 9, it literally went boss phase, add phase, boss phase.
Yeah, element. Yeah, okay.
With big attack in between. I took away their formula. That's the one thing I took away, that they had a way of designing these fights that was pretty predictable to a degree. Turn 8 was less predictable, I felt. Feel like turn 8, while it wasn't particularly a difficult fight, definitely tried to go outside the norm. A little bit more player.
It was a really interesting fight.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It was really interesting in the way they did it, like from a first kind of raid experience standpoint. Like in terms of the comparison to everything before that, and then getting to turn 8. Yeah, it was. I thought turn 8 was fun.
Yeah. I like turn 8 too, especially because no one ever made me do towers. I just,
yeah,
I just did. I
love that shit too. I'll go ahead and hit that.
I did the
Dude,
tethers.
weren't you bud?
Yeah, I did. I did the.
And
tethers.
you weren't doing towers.
I was doing tethers.
Oh right, okay, yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. I think one thing we're kind of missing with Second Coil that I sort of felt in terms of development was from turn 7 onwards. You had your DPS in particular having to take responsibility for themselves in terms of mechanically. Like, I think it was the first time turn 7 where a DPS fucking up once could wipe the whole party.
Oh yeah.
In terms of petrifying people, in terms of fucking up the placement with the Cyclops.
But see,
and I feel like that was a theme.
Petrifaction. Like,
yeah. As a melee DPS, it was a fucking joke. All right?
Yeah, the only thing I had to worry about was petrifaction. They told me that shit one time. Like, if I fucked up one time, and that was it.
Yeah, but it's about that one mistake. It's about introducing the idea that a DPS can make one mistake that can fuck up absolutely everyone. And I feel like that's a theme that has continued through Final Coil, and it's a theme that we deal with now. Is now if anyone fucks up at any point, particularly the kind of gear that we first went into Savage 1 and Savage 2 with, I mean, you're fucked.
So I'll go ahead and recant one thing. If anything, Coil and raids in general has taught me about accountability, because that's the main thing in Coil is, like, you as any class are accountable for everything. Like a wipe, if you don't heal enough, you wipe us. If you don't do enough DPS, sometimes if there's a DPS check, you wipe us. If you miss a mechanic, i.e. turn 7, and you just stone everybody, you wipe us. So it's like, for me, the only thing I really gained from first to Second Coil was accountability, because it put the fear of God in me. That's what it did. Like, I was scared to do kind of anything or make a mistake.
Yeah, I think that had a really interesting effect on kind of raid group mentality as well. I remember in First Coil, and this might have just been me, but I remember in First Coil when you wiped, you normally didn't look at it much. You were just like, all right, yeah, okay, we wiped, we'll go at it again. No one would ever sort of put their hand up and say, I fucked that up. And I suspect that, at least with the people I played with, a lot of the time they wouldn't know that they'd fucked up when they'd fucked up. In terms of tanks not getting to things in time, healers using the wrong abilities. Yeah, I feel like it wasn't until Second Coil that we were forced to be a little bit more introspective, you know what I mean? And to look at, I guess, the meta of each of our jobs and, like you say, take responsibility for when shit goes wrong, because if you didn't take responsibility for it, you didn't progress. Whereas in First Coil, you could just do it, and you know, if you hit it enough times, then eventually it would sort of give. Whereas that wasn't really an option in Second Coil.
And see, and going to what we're dealing with now, I think that's why a lot, like in terms of like A1, because like A1 Faust was quote unquote the static breaker. That's why I say that we kind of didn't learn a lot. I didn't learn a lot. Well, the only thing I learned was accountability. I think a lot of people didn't learn that from First Coil to where we're standing now, because a lot of people are pointing fingers at the wrong direction when they should be looking within themselves. Like, if you fucked up, say you fucked up. I know I fucked up. Like, I know I fuck up a fucking shit ton. Like, I know I do. And I'll go ahead and wholeheartedly admit that I fuck up. Like, it does no good to, you know, point fingers at someone else and, you know, boot them out of a freaking static or break up a static just because you think somebody else did something wrong, but you're not looking at yourself first. So I think what my thing is with first coil to where we're at now with Savage is it, like, for the right people, it prepared them. If you kind of look within yourself in terms of the mistakes you made and everything and try to, you know, get better or get good, quote unquote, you know, it did really make you better from an introspective standpoint. But if you didn't do that, then, you know, you really didn't learn anything. And I feel like that's that's a major reason why a lot of statics broke when they got to A1, because they pointed the fingers at the wrong people and, you know, they just said, fuck it, we're not going to do this shit anymore. So that's just my opinion.
You're onto something there. I feel like the people that weren't taking responsibility for themselves through second and final coil, they were the people that were rage quitting. And they were the people that were saying, all right, fuck it. They were leaving their statics. I just smacked my mic. And came back when it was on Echo and when they could pug it fairly easily and stuff like that. I find it hard to believe that people who were pushing second and final coil when they were new content and really kind of going for them hard, I can't imagine any of those groups getting to Faust and breaking up. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah. I hear we got a tweet the other day saying even people who have come through coil are breaking up when they hit Faust, and I sort of think, like, yeah, did you get through coil, or did you do it with the Echo and with, you know, half a group that had already cleared? And because I feel like if you're on the bleeding edge or anywhere near the bleeding edge for coil, you had to learn those skills or you had to get out of the kitchen.
And Faust is definitely head chef.
Yes.
Because he will kick you out of the kitchen before you even get into the kitchen. He's the bouncer for the kitchen.
He's the bouncer for the kitchen.
I don't know how these kitchen metaphors are going to keep working for us.
He's Gordon fucking Ramsay.
He's Gordon Ramsay.
He's Gordon Ramsay.
This DPS is fucking raw! Oh my goodness.
This DPS is so shit. The boss fucking enraged early just to mercy kill us. Oh god. Oh man. So, alright, let's jump.
That's our John Cena for the week, by the way.
There we go. Thank you. There we go. That's our John Cena. So let's jump to Final Coil. And Final Coil for me is where I actually got, you know, my raid face. That's where I got, like, took it seriously. I was like, holy shit, I'm at Final Coil. I got to take this shit seriously. I really want to get into raiding. This is where I need to get serious. I need to get good. And, like, I did. I took it seriously. That's where training began. That's where training began.
Talking about
training. Yes. Yes, that was my shit. That's my shit. It's still my shit to this day. Don't anybody take it away from me. This tier, again, we got a lot of repeated mechanics. We did, but there was a few new mechanics, and a lot of people said that this was, you know, easy. And I'm looking at, like, and I look at them like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not easy for me. I mean, and then again, I'm behind. I was so far, like, I wasn't that far behind the 8-ball, but, like, I didn't clear this before Echo, so I still consider myself behind the 8-ball. What did y'all feel? How did y'all feel? Do you feel like this was legitimately quote unquote easy?
Ethys, you take this one first. I got a lot to say.
Oh,
It
I can't
wasn't
wait.
it wasn't the step up that I was expecting. The difference between first and second coil was a lot larger than the difference between second coil and final coil. I feel like the gear checks for final coil were less severe than they were for second coil. I don't know how popular an opinion that is. And turn 12 was tough, but apart from that, nothing really came close to what the turn 9 experience was when it was a fresh experience. I think that for final coil, the fights were really interesting. I think in terms of the design, in terms of the kind of progression of the story and stuff like that, it was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. But do I think it was difficult? No, not really.
Okay, and
Turn 13 was such an anticlimax for me.
okay, because that's what I was about to ask you. Because like when I got the final coil in my stream, I got a lot of turn 12 is harder than turn 13. Did you really feel that way?
Yeah, I really felt that way. Well, it was more that turn 12 was this check, and if you could clear that, I mean, most people, they got to turn 12 after like a couple of weeks, and then you'd be stuck on turn 12 for a fairly long time. And once you kind of pushed through that wall, turn 13 fell pretty quickly. I think my static, and you sort of have all those kind of mid-patch issues with people coming and people going and stuff like that. But I remember we spent probably like 3 or 4 weeks on turn 12, and we got, I don't think we even did 10 hours on turn 13 before our first clear.
I think the big thing with these two is turn 12 was more like turn 9. There's movement. I think movement might be seriously the biggest thing people fear in a game, where movement in turn 5 was the death of you. Turn 9, anything outside of perfect movement. It wasn't that you had this crazy sort of heal check in turn 9. There was no crazy DPS check either. I mean, if no one died even on the first, 2.5 weeks it took for turn 9 to finally fall to the world first group. But it was almost never a race against the enrage even. At that point, it was a full-blown mechanical just test. Can you place the dive bombs here? Can you place the dive bombs there? Where did the person move to the right spot for Thunderstruck? Was fire in, fire out? Lunar Dynamo. Are you far enough away? Are you close enough? These are pretty simple mechanics looking at them individually, but they required everyone to move a lot.
And that kind of brings me to my next point, which is, did the previous turns, either one or first or second, prepare you for this?
I'd say second coil over-prepared for first coil. It was a mechanical clusterfuck. They just
I agree with that. For final coil, definitely.
And then if you did Savage, which we'll talk about in a minute,
you
went into final coil like, I'm sorry, is this a raid? It was
so in comparison to the previous coils, how did the developers approach this tier change? What was different? Because I could to me it was kind of obvious, because it really wasn't obvious to me, but I think my mindset kind of changed the way I looked at it from 1 and 2, where I was just, hey, I'm happy to be here, to, oh shit, I gotta actually be on my shit.
You know what? I think the biggest thing they tried to eliminate in Final Coil is ultimately what made it probably the easiest of the 3. Not of the 3, because First Coil was a joke, sorry. Compared to Second Coil, it was easier. They really were sick and tired of people breaking the fights. They were absolutely sick and tired of people like, you know what? Fuck it. You're not skipping this mechanic. We're tired of you doing. We're tired of your LOS strats. We're tired of your Quadra Renaud stacking. We're tired of you guys stacking.
Good old LOS.
We're tired of you stacking for the fucking ballistics in turn 8. We're tired of you knowing there's only 3 patterns of fucking dive bombs. Why did we not think people were gonna notice this? I feel like they were just sick and tired of people completely looking at their mechanics like, how can we make this completely irrelevant?
Ethys?
Yeah, I'm just going to be repeating Mike there. I absolutely agree. I got to say the biggest step up for me, and this seems like such a weird thing given what we've been talking about, but the biggest step up for me between second and final coil was aesthetically. It had a really kind of epic feeling, and everything was really beautiful. All of the AoE effects and stuff, they weren't just orange circles and shit like that. Yeah, I really did enjoy Final Coil, but there is no way that we were underprepared.
And you know what? The whole anti-cheesing thing. So when there was cheesing, people were trying a lot of different strategies to beat the fight, and everyone kind of had their own way. These fights were linear. There was one, maybe two approachable methods, but the end result was always the same. The way you handle the mechanic was still ultimately the same. And it made it so that everyone was learning the fight at the same level, as opposed to all these varying strategies, boss position, who moves where. It was always just you there, you two there. That's it. That's what it'll be every time. You two front, you two back, you two left, you two right. No matter what, the fights were complete without any cheese. They were just completely linear from start to finish. And that is ultimately what I feel like made Final Coil easier. And turn 12 didn't have that. Turn 12 is the one thing I think didn't necessarily have that. There was more randomness to it. The last phase, people would panic for friggin' Phoenix positions because they were not preset. They weren't this linear pattern. And people just like,
people were panicking for
the Phoenixes? You know how many times I've seen people cross the Phoenixes or hit a tank with a Phoenix? Not during the phase where there's nothing going on, but the phase where they got to pass Brand, move the Phoenix out of the way. You have two Phoenixes going through the friggin' fountain, and you have like, I can't move, I'm in the fountain. And people just
I've always felt like the last phase of... Yeah, the last phase of 12, I reckon, was the easiest.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. You know, like, I really didn't panic. Like, the only thing that, like, I had to deal with was Fountain. Like, other than that, like, Phoenixes were just, they're just there.
Phoenix also had a very unique type of enrage, where being dead just put a shorter timer on the fight. That was another interesting thing.
I like that. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
So if you died, you had to get somebody up quick. Like, dying was kind of that penalty. You know, that was, again, get good. Yeah, like, it was the get good of T12 where, like, if you were really good, you didn't have any deaths, but if somebody died, you had to get them up ASAP, or else, like, Phoenix would get stacks.
It was a lot easier when people started passing Brand to the fucking tank.
Yeah.
That definitely eased the fight a lot into that last phase. Going into it like week 1, it was ranged passing it. Keep in mind, a lot of my experience go back to like week 1, week 2. Week 2 for me, because I actually didn't rate it all week 1, the Final Coil. So.
Were you in turn 12 on week 2?
Yes. I was on turn 13. I was on turn 13 week 2. Because I joined...
That would have been a bit scary.
I joined Death and Taxes pretty much
that's right.
of not rating, and I did 10, 11, and 12 all my first night. And it's kind of funny, because at that point, I was still a bard. But I was just like, oh. Because at that point, I was seeing a lot of the fights for the first time. I was like, oh, this is easy, this is easy, this is easy. It was like, well, I don't understand. How are people... Oh, you're lagging? Okay. Oh, the red ball. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Still, Final Coil. I liked it.
So, what were some of the pitfalls y'all experienced, or you've kind of heard about? Because I really don't feel like there were any kind of pitfalls in Final Coil. But if y'all have any, please tell me. Use your words.
What kind of pitfalls are we talking about here? Like,
well, they never repeated the mistakes they did in First Coil. So there wasn't really anything like... Well, I guess... Yeah, we were just saying a lot of people were cheesing. second coil, and they removed that for final coil. I don't know. Other than the fact that it was mechanically easier, and a lot of people were saying that they'd like to see a harder fight, I don't think they made any mistakes with final coil, I gotta say.
So you think final coil was perfect as is?
I think I can name one mistake they made.
Okay.
Magic damage. Monk
Yes,
was dominant,
that's-
and Dragoon was ha 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 ha.
Yeah, oh god, I ended up having to switch my main to monk for that first, what was it, month or
I
two before the Dragoon got fixed.
Oh, Sly, were you in there before 2.45?
You weren't fucking there!
They fixed it like a month and a half after it came out.
Yeah.
You couldn't run a group without Dragon Kick. It just wasn't.
What do you think? Why do you think it took us a couple of extra weeks to beat it? Because we had a fucking Dragoon and a Summoner. The fights were terribly designed for Summoners. Summoners were perfectly fine before Final Coil, and then everyone started giving them shit because the fights had no downtime.
Well. Black Mage, I remember Black Mage were getting a lot of shit in second coil for a while about being inferior to Summoner. And then Final Coil came around and all the Summoners are changing to Black Mage. And I thought that was awesome to see. I thought that was really cool.
Except for the Summoners that didn't want to change. And were like, I want to play this job.
They can fuck up. Yeah. I'm sorry, if you're going in week 1 or week 2 in second coil and you're a summoner and you have a Black Mage and you're not going to play a Black Mage, I don't know. I'm going to find a Black Mage, thanks.
You're going to find a Black Mage?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty standard. I think those were probably the biggest mistakes is turn 13 in particular really made certain jobs absolutely just seem like, no. Dragoon and Summoner mostly just resource starvation and you're gonna die. There's nothing quite like a Dragoon where it's like, okay guys, mechanic is coming, soil's out, sucker's out, I need an Eloquium and a stone skin. You're the Dragoon. I need an Eloquium and a stone skin.
I feel like I was kind of used to that though, is that people we got to Final Call and everyone's like, oh, Dragoon's so squishy. I'm like, yeah, we're squishy.
Yeah.
But we have more health.
Oh, Dragoon's not as good as Monk, they don't do as much damage. I'm like, yeah, that's how it's always been.
Like, where have y'all
been?
been?
That bothered us before. Yeah. And then they said they were going to fix it, and I was like, no, they're not going to fix that.
Oh, and then they fixed the hell out of
Wait,
it.
they're going to fix that?
Yeah,
and then Dragoons were fucking... Then Dragoons were fucking boss.
Yeah.
I mean, it still sucked not having Dragon
Dragoon.
Kick. Like, Dragon Kick was still a fucking thing. Like, eating Giga Flares and Mega Flares without a Dragon Kick was horrible.
That's alright.
It was fucking horrible, man. It was fucking horrible. I hated it. Having to click off Blood for Blood because you didn't have fucking Dragon Kick. It's like, alright.
Actually, I had to do that. I still had to do that in turn 13. I was like, no, I'll be fine. No, they fixed Blood for Blood. It was still pretty brutal. Yeah. There's nothing more upsetting for a Dragoon than having to click off Blood for Blood.
I didn't.
And yours was fucking super buffed too.
I didn't click it off, and
Actually, there is something worse now. Losing Chub of the Dragon is slightly worse.
Chub of the Dragon?
Yeah, losing Chub of the Dragon. You got to keep your Chub up. That's fucking kidding me.
I'm sorry, that shit is hilarious. Oh god. Oh man.
Well, what else is it?
Blood?
Yeah, you gotta keep thrusting, otherwise you'll end up losing your Chub. Oh, I got him. Sly got.
Oh man.
Ethys, Chub of the Dragon, Asher.
Oh, there you go.
Ethys, keep your Chub up, Asher.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, because that shit falls off.
Moon Man,
Jesus. Well, especially if you don't have enough fucking skill speed. Because if you don't have enough skill speed, that just falls off harder than American Idol. I'm telling you. Like, make sure you have gotta do Dragoon things faster, as like my static tells me. And then I fucking end up killing a ad on A1 too fast. Dude, you're doing things slower. Just told me to do things faster. Fuck you. Anyway.
I absolutely love when you get healers and tanks like giving you DPS tips. You're like, yeah, just do a rotation on that ad. I'm like, what the fuck? What is that?
That's why I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Yes.
Just
Oh,
I just
God.
chub
All right.
thing. I'm just not past
So,
it.
the next thing we're going to talk about is Savage, but not Alexander Savage, second coil Savage, which I did not touch. So
Yeah.
I'm just straight up Helen Keller on this one. I have nothing to say because I didn't touch it. Go ham, y'all.
Hi, Ethys.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
So a lot of people have been talking recently about how Faust broke their static. Fucking Savage, second coil, broke my static. Like,
Really?
irreparably for a long time. Yeah, because we were, we were farming turn 9, and everyone was like, yeah, I get a little bit of downtime, whatever, before final coil comes out. Then we had a couple of people, myself included, that really, really wanted to do Savage. And then we had a couple of people that were like, yeah, well, what's the point? There's no gear rewards. Why would we want to do it? Which is something that I totally sympathize with, but it was like, I don't know. I'm always about
Was it a pride
fights
issue?
for themselves.
Was it a pride thing for you to kind of do Savage, just to say that you did Savage? Second.
Yeah, definitely. But more than that, it's about the way that I play the game and about what motivates me. It's not drops. I never get pissed off about not getting drops. It's about the fight. It's about the challenge. And I was with a group that I sort of expected, or at least I assumed that they felt the same way. And I was kind of disappointed to find that that they would rather spend that time farming turn 9 for their like 3rd and 4th ult than try and challenge themselves and push something new. So yeah, that really fucked with us. And we did a little bit of turn 6 and turn 7 and turn 9. It was insane. In I-110, we didn't clear any of them in I-110. I know a few people did, but that was just, I don't know. Happy, you seem to be saying at the moment that you feel like Alex Savage is harder than second coil Savage.
The macho mech.
Yeah, and I think maybe for 3 and 4, because I haven't really spent much time in 3, that might be true. But there's absolutely no way that Savage 1 and 2 of Alex are harder than second coil Savage. That shit was
They're more equivalent to final coil. I feel.
Yeah.
But so first of all, prefacing my experience with second coil Savage, went in, beat 6 back when I was on Sargatanas, and then hit the same wall kind of you did, where some people were motivated to do it, some people weren't, ended up having to reform a static, and then they lost interest in it, and ultimately, while on Sargatanas, while in I-110 never got past 40% on turn 7, it wasn't until, I think, about 5 months ago, went back with a full set of I-110 best in slot, and did it in full I-110, but, after Final Coil had already been out for quite some time. Which is a much different experience than going in when people are still figuring it out in full 110. It's a much, much different experience. I'd also like to say, by the way, Dragon Kick, second coil Savage, just as big a thing. Just let's be clear about this. Dragon Kick was godsend in second coil Savage. But having gone back, and I did do them all in 110, and then laughably did them all in 130, and went, what the hell is this? I have to say,
what did you think of them in 130?
Like, why is this a fight? That's how I felt about them in 130.
I feel like mechanically in 130 they were still challenging.
Not really. Okay, so,
so.
Turn 8, you literally beat the fight before you even had, like, 4 towers ever. So that completely eliminated the need to do some of the harder tower sets and bypass mechanics. Turn 6, you never, ever had to worry about dealing with the second set of the the second set of slugs. You just ignored them. You only had to do one set of slugs. And you only had to do 3 or 4 swarms instead of, like, 6 swarms. Turn 9 may have been the easiest fight in 130, turn 9 Savage. And turn...
Love the laugh, by the way.
And turn 7, honestly, 130 wasn't an advantage until you got past 50%. I-130 was a complete fucking hindrance on turn 7 Savage. You're like, alright, guys, start... Okay, stop DPS. 30 seconds later. Okay, guys... Okay, never mind, stop DPS. Because no matter what...
That 7 was the hardest of them, right? Even in the 110.
I think 7 still wasn't that bad, but I think the thing is in 130, just the fact that having more DPS until you got past 50% was in no way a boon. It was a complete fucking hindrance. I always and I was a melee DPS, of course. I also feel like I went in as a ninja to second coil Savage back with the 110. I think that completely breaks the fights. I think that those fights. People think, oh, what could Ninja really bring that makes those fights? Trick Attack makes a huge fucking difference in second coil and 110. Goad makes a huge difference. Like,
yeah, well, it wasn't designed for ninjas.
Yeah. So I even think that taking that into account, like just going back and doing it in 110.
That's a fair point.
My order of difficulty from easiest to hardest: 6, 9, 7, 8 for me.
So, as someone from the outside looking in, y'all talk about this with so much passion. But was it worth it?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It was so much fun. Even if the fights weren't necessarily like they were well past the prime and did them, I loved going in and doing them. It felt great to be playing with other people motivated to do it. That was what mattered to me more than anything. People that weren't just like, well, it doesn't have a reward, so I don't want to do it.
So I go further than that. I'd say next time you get some downtime, when everyone's sort of clearing Savage 4, Alexander, and waiting for the next tier, try to get a group together and go back and have a go at that. Just have a go, even for a couple of weeks in the 110 stuff. It's really great fun.
No, oh, okay. You said 110. I was like, I was asking.
No, yeah, go back in I-190s. It'll be just as hard, I think.
yeah, exactly. So out of the community, I wouldn't say the current community because we've grown from when this actually came out. How many people do you think, in terms of the community, percentage-wise, do you think found this actually to be worthwhile when there was nothing dropping from it? And that's the one thing that kind of
1%.
1%.
Less.
Yeah, because
less than 1%.
Easily.
That's why they haven't done it again.
Yeah, and see, that's why I asked, because like I didn't do this shit because again I wouldn't get anything from it, and I know that's kind of like backwards thinking of me maybe, but
you know what, Sly? You should be playing a Lullafell.
Damn.
Okay. All right. Why?
You should be playing a greedy little fucking all-down Lullafell. Get out of here.
Really? You're gonna compare me to
you and I?
Wait! You're gonna compare me to fucking Lolorito, and like just because I didn't want to do Savage?
Yeah, because I didn't want Savage.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
No.
Fuck you.
No. I wouldn't get anything out of that bullshit. Why the hell I gotta do that damn shit? No.
So you seriously think that not getting drops is not getting anything?
Damn straight.
That's such a weird attitude to me.
Wait. Time. If anything, going back to what we've been talking about, what did you learn from Savage Second Coil? What did you learn, if anything?
I don't think it was about learning anything. It was about taking
that doesn't answer the goddamn question. What did you learn from Savage?
Learn how to do fights that were harder.
Oh bullshit!
All right. No. What I learned from Savage Second was that most of the raiding community only cares about gear, and that upset me.
No, shut up, Barbara. I did not know. Raber. Hold on.
Here we go. Fucking hell.
Raber, girl. Most of the Final Fantasy community cares about gear. I know, girl. Call Barbara Jean.
All right, touche. No, I know, I agree with that, but like, it was a challenge. It's about taking all the things that you've learned, and it was about pushing yourself to the edge. And it came out at a time where there wasn't really anything to chase in terms of progression. And for some people, the progression is half the fun, or most of the fun. You know, less than 1% apparently, but you know, whatever.
I mean, I can understand the achievement point like side of that, but again, you're talking about the 1% versus everybody else who's trying to clear shit, who's trying to get geared, who's trying to get prepared for 3.0. And going back to a fight that does absolutely nothing for that. I mean, to me, like, in my personal opinion, I just didn't give a damn about it. Like, I saw it, people said, you should try it. You should try Savage Coil. I'm like, no, I have better shit to do. Like, I actually have shit worthwhile to do. Maybe later, but not now.
No, I definitely sympathize with that attitude, and like, I wasn't mad when they didn't do a Savage final coil, because it was just a case of not enough people into it. It's like when I hear people saying, oh, they need to do massive overhauls of the PvP, I think, well, there's not actually that many people that give a shit about PvP. To that extent, I feel like that's kind of a waste of development resources. And obviously it was the same thing about Savage, and I'm happy to concede that. I think I was just a little bit disappointed at the time that, you know what I'm saying.
I'm
not hating.
We get what you're saying, but okay. To take it even further, do you think we will ever get a Savage final coil?
No, fuck no.
That's a waste of resources.
Yeah, absolutely waste. It would be fun. I'd enjoy it.
Okay, but if it actually came to fruition, would you enjoy it? Would you actually go, like, take part of it?
I would.
If it came to fruition, I'd want it to be at the current level cap. I don't want to have to go back to you know, working out itemization and rotations and shit for.
And at that point, why the fuck do it? Because then that's not even going to be the same fight, because there's things we have now we didn't have then.
Yeah.
That is just going to make the fight. Even if they make it like a super tight check, it'll be a fucking joke.
Okay.
I think I'd just like to fight Bahamut again, you know? I'd like to fight Bahamut. I'd like to fight Nail again. I reckon that'd be sweet. They were great fights.
Oh, you can always go fight Nail again.
So, Ethys, you said like 1% of the community actually did this.
Less than 1. I reckon less than 1% gave it a decent go.
Less than 1. Of that less than 1%, what percent of that less than 1% actually cleared it?
Cleared all of them? I'd say less than 1% of that less than 1%.
Less than 1% of less than 1%.
I mean, Happy, you've probably got a better idea of this, but I would be really surprised if there was more than like a dozen groups
there's
worldwide
more than a dozen
that cleared them all.
Definitely
really?
More than a dozen, yeah. Probably...
During the time? During like the time period that was relevant?
Time when it was relevant. Okay, I guess it depends on what you want to ask. Because, okay, so between 2.3 and 2.4 is the period you're probably talking about. Yeah. At least 2 dozen, probably more. And then people who went back and did it in I-110 after Final Coil is probably closer to, I don't want to say 1,000, but 1,000 total people.
So,
that's great.
The world first tier kind of raid group?
Well, that's 2.3 to 2.4. Yeah.
That was who it was designed for.
Maybe 2 dozen groups between 2.3 and 2.4. I think after Final Coil, people were kind of looking for something to do. A lot of people wanted to practice, thinking, we know Alexander's going to have a Savage mode.
Looking for something to do.
Let's go. Well, mostly we know, like, Alexander's going to have a hard mode. We didn't know it was going to be called Savage at the time. They just had 2 difficulties, normal, hard. And I mean, that's when they were telling us normal mode is going to be Coil with Echo, so what the fuck did we know? And people were like, well, if there's going to be a hard mode, I mean, the only raid we really have that has a meaningful hard mode is Second Coil. Let's go and do that. Like, maybe that'll help us when we're looking at mechanics in Alexander Savage. And I think...
people really think that it was going to prepare them for Alex Savage? Because I know a lot of people doing that just because there was nothing else to do, but to think that it would sincerely
Prepare
you for... I mean, it's a completely different game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not just about teaching you how to play your job. It's about teaching you how to play in a group. Like,
yeah, that's true.
You got like
no. Wait. Shouldn't we already have that kind of knowledge?
Nope.
No, from Final Coil. Fuck no.
No.
Well, okay.
If you can pug something, then those skills are irrelevant at that point.
Damn.
So you're kind of like, so what you're telling me is that this shit like is, and this is going back to her whole, casual versus, hardcore raider static conversation. This is something only static worthy.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
Ultimately what it comes down to is you did Savage between 2.3 and 2.4 because you wanted the challenge. You wanted the recognition, and that's something that a lot of old school MMO players actually care about, having something that is unique amongst everyone. It's why glamour has become such a big deal in the first place. It comes down to people even wanting their characters to look unique. Savage was a challenge that was unique. It was something we didn't have before. And then on top of that, it was just later, if you went back to do it, is you had to prove we can play as a unit. It's easy to just fucking be like, well, this is what's going to happen every time. And then second coil comes out, it's like, okay, tank needs to know. Last second decision has to be adjusted here. Then we have to know, okay, our adjustments are this, this, and this. Okay, that one person's there, I need to move over here. Like, there's more communication involved. There's more strategy involved. And then in 110, I don't even want to say there were really big DPS checks because there weren't. I mean, there were, but the DPS checks were different. It wasn't a race against Enrage. It was a race against a specific mechanic to make sure it was timed correctly with the rest of the fight. It required a lot more out of you. And from a group synergy standpoint, Savage was definitely something that should have prepared you, at least in one way or another, for Alexander Savage.
Do you think that Savage Second Coil did that in a way that, say, approaching Second Coil fresh or Final Coil fresh wouldn't have done? Because I guess my opinion is that if you get in there straight away and if you're pushing progression, you have to sync really well because you have to make up for the fact that you're under geared and under experienced and all that. And then once you outgear it, then like I say, people start pugging it, and that group communication, that group synergy becomes largely irrelevant because you don't have to play perfectly. So do you think that Savage Second Coil was a unique experience? Do you think it was sort of significantly more demanding? You get what I'm saying? Because I feel like, I mean, it's going to happen. Alexander Savage, a lot of that is going to be cheesed once we're overgeared.
It's not even so much cheese. It's literally going to be. You'll face roll through. But I mean, we say that, but there are still people with their SO weapons not getting past Faust. Faust Sensei.
Yeah, but they need to take a good look at themselves.
All right. And I'm a numbers person. What number do you think that is, like percentage-wise?
More than it should be.
Like, of people being stuck on Faust?
Yeah, like right now with SO gear, because everybody has SO gear now. So, what percentage do you think of the community that has SO gear? Because I'm taking it upon myself to assume.
Have you seen Bismarck Extreme pugs? Like, just take that as your standard.
This is a whole NAJP server group thing.
Yeah.
Like, everyone on Tonberry who is hitting Faust, whether it be in Party Finder or in their statics, they're clearing it. Well, they're not clearing the turn necessarily. They're beating Faust.
No, but like, I'll take it further. Fuck EX. Just hard mode. Whenever I go into a Bismarck like hard mode, and that's usually during a fucking trial, like my trial roulette, quit. 2, 3,
Steps
maybe
of faith.
4 people quit. And I'm like, and shit, that shit happens in Steps of Faith too. And I'm like, why? This shit is nerfed. What are y'all scared of?
That doesn't happen over here.
It happens. Shit, this shit happens here.
Happens a lot.
A lot.
Disgracefully. The thing, Nothing quite as bad as getting 8 people in Steps of Faith, all not worth a first-time bonus, and somebody quits because they think it's too hard.
Have you been like no
shit
Ethys? You haven't been in a trial roulette Ravana where we actually.
Oh God, no! The tank is absolutely getting thrown into the wall by the fucking shield.
No.
Every time.
Like going back a few weeks, I was in a fucking roulette, trial roulette of Ravana, where we almost hit the time limit. I'm like, why am I still here? I really wanted to quit so bad. I vote abandoned so many times I couldn't get it. But
were you streaming that? That would have been fucking hilarious.
Yes.
Rochelle, stop! My tank is in the chat, feigning ignorance, talking about. Stop.
You don't go through the same shit we'd go through in the NA servers because
horrible.
No,
it's
all right. Here's the thing. This is kind of getting way off topic, so I'll make this quick. My old Ethys is on Saga Tannis. I kept hearing all these horror stories on Reddit and stuff about guild spammers, about people not being able to handle shit in like low-level dungeons, just about this really vitriolic attitude through the NA server group. I was like, yeah, okay, it's Reddit. People, it's hyperbole, it's bullshit. People overreacting, you only hear the bad stuff. And I start on Saga Tannis, and I get fucking guild tells every 5 minutes. Every roulette I do is shit. It's like it's horrible. I don't know how you guys do it.
Welcome to.
I mean, I'm sorry. I know. Like most of the people in chat are on the NA server groups, and like I'm
most
really
of them
sorry
will just agree with you.
Anyone there?
Yeah.
But jeez, it's rough.
All right.
Yeah, you guys are all very brave.
Yes, thank you. So to kind of like bring it back to center and back to back to reality, back to life, back to reality. Current standpoint, where we're at now. Alex Normal and / Alex Savage.
Normal.
Yeah, because that's what it is. It's just normal. From normal to Savage, were we ready?
Actually, you know what?
No, I'll give my answer. No.
So just
ready.
normal to Savage? If like a player's coming fresh into Heaven's Ward?
Yeah, no. We weren't ready.
He wasn't ready.
No.
No.
Yeah. No, we weren't ready. I don't think we were ready. Like that was like that transition. To me, that was the biggest transition ever from like doing just normal stuff to okay, we're gonna amp it up like a couple of notches. We're gonna turn it all the way to 11. We weren't ready.
I mean, I will say this: A1 and A2. One thing about normal that absolutely prepared us for Savage, we got to see all the mechanics of the fight, pretty much.
Yeah, the mechanics were the same. Yeah,
pretty much.
That's true. That's a good point.
I'd say that if Alexander Savage had just released first, it would have been a much bigger nightmare comparatively than to have 2 weeks of looking at, Oppressor and being like, yeah, this is probably going to happen in Savage. And then it happens because it's completely fucking obvious it's going to happen.
So, with what we have now, do you think the devs set the learning curve a little too steep? Because some people describe it as not a curve, but a mountain.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Well, for Flaw 1 and 2 anyway, is that for people who are pushing the bleeding edge through coil, it's nothing insane. It's sort of business as usual. Learning the new tools and stuff that we've got, obviously, and picking up new gear. Yeah. But I mean, it was nothing brutal. For everyone else, they I feel like they were hitting it too early. I feel like people going into Savage 1 and saying, "Oh, this is broken. This is bullshit." It's like, no, just give it a couple of weeks. Get your ESO weapon. That's what it's designed for. It's designed to, be challenging once you've got those couple of extra pieces.
And see, the thing about A1 is it's not really a gear gate. A1 isn't the gear gate.
No.
It really isn't.
A1 is a play your job correctly gate.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a gear gate. I think my point is that, like, mathematically, it's not a gear gate. It shouldn't be a gear gate, but it's okay to treat it as a gear gate if you're an average player.
Yeah.
Right. And see, and my thing with the whole thing with the difficulty spike and the learning curve is that you're going to have two sides of the spectrum with this. There's going to be that side that says, like, if it was like if they released this when normal came out, we would probably be people would have already cleared it. And then if they released it and it was a little bit easier than expected, then people wouldn't be happy. But at the same time, right now, where we stand now, people aren't happy. Statics are breaking. If they released it a little bit more difficult, people definitely wouldn't be happy. So it's just a matter of, people, like, they're gonna, like, you can't please everybody. You really can't please everybody. There's a certain demographic that's not going to be happy, period, because one, they probably aren't prepared for Savage. They probably aren't prepared. Two, they asked maybe way too much of it, and when they got in there, they kind of realized that they bit off more than they could chew. And then three, there are the actual tiers, the world first tiers, who... Okay, let me just go ahead and say this about the world first tiers. I'm not in the world first tier. Happy can only speak about this. They're content. I feel like the world first tiers are content. This is the content that they wanted. This is the content that they got.
Let me tell you about wanting content.
Okay. Yeah, let Happy speak about this because he can only speak for himself because he's in a world first tier.
Let me tell you a little thing called A4 Savage. Oh yeah, we won a challenge, all right. Holy fucking shit! Did they go no holds bar? Like, oh, that's right. You wanted a hard. Okay, we got you. All
right. So are you content? Are you happy? Are you disappointed?
You know what I'm not content about with Savage so far?
Oh my god.
No. This is honestly, I'm vouching for a specific demographic that's not my own. I feel that as a melee DPS, fine. It has completely achieved everything I wanted to. I think that healers and range DPS are being bullied a little bit.
Yay!
And this is
melee DPS for the win.
I think honestly, melee DPS as a melee DPS, I feel like I have it way too fucking easy in Savage, and then I'm looking.
I could have told you that shit about A4 to begin with.
But here's the thing. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at A1. I'm looking at A2. I'm looking at A3. I'm looking at A4. Yeah, sure. A2, you got summoners. They're OP as shit. We get it. You stick a melee in the Gobwalker. Guess what? Oh, we lost Ethys. No, Ethys, no.
Oh my god, no.
No, I'm surprised I didn't throw your oh, no, because he has the picture. We'll get him back.
Oh my god, no.
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 I think that they seriously need to start looking at mechanics that they can give to melee DPS. Because I think that healers, while I understand they have a responsibility. Hold on while we get that call back. It's letting us know that. Hopefully it comes back soon. I kind of want to wait for is he back? Is that it saying he's back or no? Nope. Hold on while we try to get the call back. No, he's not back yet.
Okay.
There's no. I think it might even be. There's a problem with this call. The connection speed between you is unknown. What does that even mean?
The Australian internet.
Is that Australian internet? There you go. I blame Skype. He's
Hey,
funny. Hey, he's back. Yay! And it fixes itself on the screen automatically.
Sorry about that, everyone. Australia.
It's okay. You're just a you're a spinning circle right now. That's perfectly okay. The point I was actually going on, while your camera decides when it doesn't want to load,
One picture
is I feel that while Savage is definitely the adequate challenge that we wanted it to be, I don't feel the responsibilities are properly spread. I feel that it's too much that melee DPS are literally just expected to do as much as possible, and there's very little interaction with them in the rest of the fight that's unique to the interaction that involves other players. Like,
do you think that's a reaction, though, to what Melee was saying, particularly about second coil, that we were having like a really hard time?
I don't think Melee had a hard time at all on second coil. Like, I think
a lot of people were complaining. A lot of people were complaining about
I think that's complete bullshit.
In hindsight, yeah, like, no, we didn't. I mean, unless you had a different experience, Melee in second coil, hell no.
Oh, if anything, Melee in first coil was most
there
annoying.
There were a lot of people making noise.
If anything, Melee in first coil was the most annoying. I mean, you had you just the way you had to do the fight's just annoying. Like,
but then again, we're talking about well, from a Dragoon standpoint, we're talking about nerf. Well, not nerf, but buff.
Yeah,
pre-buff.
I just think overall the only complaint I still have with Savage is that as a melee DPS, I don't feel I'm being pushed mechanically as much as the other roles are. I think it's just, I would like to see it spread out a little bit more. Overall, the fights, A1 Savage, I feel great introduction to Savage. The healing checks are there, the tank checks are there, the DPS check is there when you're kind of going in for the first time. There's a few tiny DPS checks mixed in with one large overall DPS check. And then you have second coil, which is overall just DPS check. Make sure you beat the fight in time. An interesting new mechanic in that of the Gobwalker, something you don't really expect. They've never really explored those kind of mechanics in a super difficult fight.
So, do you think it, like, going back to the whole gear gating thing, do you think it was a good idea for them to kind of reward people who were geared?
I mean, gear begets gear. The more you have, the easier it is to get more. The less you have, the more you got to work to get that first little bit, and it cascades on from there. Skype is so quality, yeah, we know. Ethys will forever be known. Ethys, the small spinning circle, Asher.
Fucking Skype.
I don't know, we're working.
Jeez.
So, yeah, Ethys, I want to get your take on this. Do you think it was, like, not really, it's, for A1, A2, it's not really gear gating. You really don't, I feel like from what I've seen, you don't really see gear gating until you get to A3. But, again, I haven't gotten to A3 yet, so I can't really speak on that personally. Do you really think it's good to reward players who actually have the gear rather than those who don't?
I think, Happy, you were saying this the other day, and I think it's a really good point, is that in terms of the world first tier, it might become a case of who got the drops first. Right? I still strongly feel that way. A4, if I don't know what groups have been getting what, all I know is we've gotten monk pants twice out of our three A3 Savage kills. We got 2 monk pants. Saying we have no monks. So it's going to come out of the groups that are pushing A4. It's going to be whoever ended up getting a decent couple of drops is probably going to be the ones that cleared first, right?
It'll definitely give you the edge. Like, it's a very clear edge in that case. But we also have to factor in there is some guaranteed loot. Everyone's guaranteed a weapon at this point. If you're playing correctly, you're guaranteed 1 accessory. Today you can get a guaranteed body piece or leg piece. And then if you're on A4
it's
Savage,
slow, though. It's not going to help with world first.
I mean, every little bit helps. I mean, just looking at today, I mean, you have to remember, even going back to having money, people say world first is also about money. The I-180 crafted body piece is a huge deal, especially for scholars. A scholar getting 45 to 60 accuracy on their body piece to push out that extra deeps they're not missing with it. It's a huge deal. And that's something I've had to talk about a lot this last week, too, is healers and tanks DPSing.
I mean, it's going to happen, right?
I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, the thing is, A3 Savage, while it felt gear gated to a lot of people, I still think A3 Savage could have been cleared the first week of Savage. It got beat the day of the next week, like the morning of, like 2 hours after the servers went live. And then a couple of days later, and then within the next few days, before the end of the week, a total of 6 groups had beaten it. And then the following week, just group after group after group because of the weapon, which is the gear easing people into the content a little bit more. Doesn't make A3 any easier, but the people who had it down mechanically were still maybe held back, just missing DPS or missing that little extra spark.
Is there any way to avoid that that happening?
I think no matter what, it's the same thing we were saying before. There are always going to be people who are unhappy. If there had been no gear gating, it would have been beat the first week. It's the bottom line.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel everything would have been beat the first week because people, if you're a good player, if you're a group of good players, and there's nothing stopping you, you're gonna beat the fight. Like that's it. You're gonna beat the fight, and it only gets even more achievable by everyone right off the bat from the first week on.
Right.
So which do you personally prefer? Would you prefer it to be beatable in the first week and be able to get in there and do it, or because I think the way that we're all imagining the position of the people pushing world first at the moment is that you guys are in there like 8 hours a day, and you're just like crying over it like every day.
Have you seen Fold's Twitter? Do I need to pull up the picture again of fucking...
Oh, I've seen it. But
are you talking about the Fold picture?
Yeah, I'm talking about... See, I still have it ready. I pulled it up on screen. This accurately depicts the time in A4 Savage. The insanity involved with it.
Like, I feel like if this were easier, there would be a shit ton of people who weren't happy. Like, that, like, the majority of the... Like, you're talking about the crowd, your crowd, Happy's crowd, like, the people who, want the challenge, and the spoils are there for them, because it's not second Coil Savage where you don't get anything out of it. You get something out of this. And, like, if this were easier, if this were out when normal was out and people cleared this, you have a whole bunch of unhappy people because, again, people, in terms of actually clearing content, everything, if you were able to clear Savage 1 through 4 the first fucking week, would we be having this conversation right now?
No, because we'd be saying it in the other direction. Was it too easy? Because that's another thing you have to keep in mind. A lot of people who will never touch the content will see it was beaten a certain amount of time and almost assume credit for it.
Right.
Like, I play this game and that was beaten a week. Oh man, that shit must be easy.
No, it's not easy.
Yeah. Like, it's not that it was easy. It's that it was difficult, but there was hard work involved, and it was overcome in a short period of time.
Okay, so now with everybody geared, everybody's been working on their esoterics, and I got mine. Even though I look like Alexander normal from head to toe, even though my chest is Alexander Savage. I mean Alexander, not even Alexander, but esoteric.
Wait, you glamoured your esoteric chest to the Alex one? What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Okay. Come on.
Wait. I have the match. We've
been waiting for that shit for like... Go match it. What I did, I matched it with my augmented Draken gear. Dude, we've been waiting for that chest for like 18 months. I
understand, but I have head to toe, I have Alexander normal. So, of course I'm going to glamour it because I want to match. High fashion. Sly Rivers.
What kind of Dragoon are you?
Fuck you. Is Alexander normal? Not even normal. But do you think with where the progression that we've seen in terms of a lot of statics, in terms of a lot of world first tiers, do you think right now is Alexander Savage DFable? If that's even the word?
On some servers, absolutely. I know that on a JP server, I think on Chocobo it was, that A3 Savage has been beaten in a party finder.
Yeah, I've heard that. A lot of groups are clearing on Tonberry, A1 Savage on Party Finder. I assume a couple have done Floor 2 as well. I don't know
Floor
about
2 is
3.
by a lot of people considered to be easier if approached correctly. A1 and A2 are Party Finder. I don't know, Duty Finder, I would never trust anything if Savage ever made it to the Duty Finder. No. Just it could absolutely happen. It's kind of like going into turn 9 in the Duty Finder. Like, you know, it can happen. You're going in and
you're not gonna have fun with it.
9.9 times out of 10, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
A4, I will honestly be surprised if I ever see that beaten in the Party Finder, and I say never.
Do you think they'll nerf it? Do you think they'll nerf it?
This has been such a hot topic.
Yeah,
no.
I think eventually they will.
I don't think they will.
You don't think
I hope
they will?
don't.
I think what's going to eventually happen...
I agree with Ethys.
Because it's not gating anything. It's not going to gate anything, is it? I mean, we're going to get... story mode is gating the next Alex story mode, and then that story mode will be able to go straight into Savage rather than having to clear the first Savage, surely. That's intuitive, it seems like. That's probably how it's going to work. So if it's not gating anything, there's no reason to nerf it. And I'd be pretty disappointed if they did, to be honest. I think the only good reason for the Echo and the nerfing through Coil was the fact that it was gating other shit.
Yeah. Right. But, I mean, at this point, and before it's gating our glamour. The Diable Alexander.
well, in before the next live letter, before you have a lot of people asking, well, no, Faust is too hard. Oh my God, this wasn't made. I hope and pray Yoshi P gives the same answer that he did in the last live letter, where she tells us to get good. Just get good.
So you're afraid that the next Savage might be a step down in difficulty because of the number of people that are bitching about it?
Yes.
God, I hope not.
I don't think it will.
I think I can see it. I really can see it coming where, like, just because of the stuff that they did, like, this is new expansion, new content, but at the same time, a lot of people are complaining about it. It's breaking a lot of statics. So I'm hoping that they don't step it down, but at the same time,
okay.
You know,
so my thing is, here's my thing. A1 and A2 Savage we spoke about, they are, I consider, on the level of Final Coil.
Okay.
That was, in my opinion, mid-core content. They wanted, people are complaining there's no level between normal mode and Savage to satisfy the mid-core raider. I feel A1 and A2 Savage are mid-core raids, and the hardcore raids are 3 and 4.
So you tell those people just do 1 and 2.
But you tell those people that at this point, if you're still having A1, like where does it go from there? This is mid-core raiding. And you take this mid-core raiding, you collect the gear over the week's esoterics. I do think eventually those mid-core raids will feel A3 Savage is a mid-core raid, is a mid-core fight as well with gear. And A4 is something that's really hard to judge because the only things you get out of beating A4 is the only way to get an I-210 weapon currently. No matter whether you bought it through esoterics or you're waiting to get it off the drop, it is the only way to get an I-210 weapon. So we will not have more weapon upgrades minus the relic weapon past 3.1, which probably won't even go to 210 until like damn near 3.2. Like 3.18.
You guys were saying last week, Happy, you were saying you thought it'd be 200, Sly, you thought it would be 210. Ooh, could it be 205?
It could be 205. It could absolutely be 205 because SOs have been available for so long.
It's still 210. Fuck that. No.
No?
210.
Sly says no.
No.
I think the big thing shouldn't be we need a mid-core raid. It should be, how can I play better? How can we play better? And I don't think that means you have to beat it, because here's the thing: A4 Savage hasn't been beat. It's been what, 7 weeks now? What is this? No, it's been 5 weeks. My bad. It's been 7 weeks since Normal came out. It's been 5 weeks, I think, since Alexander Savage came out. I think that maybe they have gone too overboard with A4 Savage in terms of gear gating, but I think that 3 weeks should be kind of the expected time they go for these top tier clearing groups in the future. I think that 5 weeks of the same fight is
that's bullshit.
I think that might because here's the thing: at this point, A lot of the groups know all the mechanics.
Tom.
We know, the thing is, at this point, know all the mechanics. It sucks going an entire week of knowing all the mechanics and just being shit out of luck, because guess what? You need to get your 210 body piece before you'll beat the fight.
So, Ethys, if it was any easier, would you still call it bullshit?
If 3 and 4 are any easier?
Yeah.
I don't want them to be any easier, no. No, absolutely not.
Me neither. A3 Savage, I think, was the best designed fight they have in the game. I think it's better designed than A4, as hard as A4 is. Just as a whole, I feel it's a better designed fight.
Okay. All right.
A3 Savage is my new favorite fight in the game.
So, going to that, in terms of everybody who is there right now, in terms of everybody who's at A3 or A4, and A4 is the minority, were they ready for it? Was the world ready for A3 and A4?
I think the world had no confidence Square Enix would make anything like A3 and A4. They were like, yeah, Square Enix, they're talking all this shit. Last time they talked all this shit, we had Twintania, and then they were talking shit about Final Coil. They're talking shit about something like, and then A3 Savage came out, they're like, okay, they weren't fucking around.
Well, there was this big wave of people, right, when Alex Normal came out. They were like, oh, Savage is going to be a joke.
No,
like, Savage is going to be a step up from this. Oh, it's going to be a joke. It was like, come on, have a little faith. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no one had any faith that they were going to make a fight like that.
No. I thought they would.
Not to mention 2 fights like that. Yeah, they made Absolute Virtue. Trust me, Square Enix knows how the fuck to piss people. They made Ozma. All right, they know how to fuck to piss people off. Okay? They know better than anyone. I think the world was ready. I think the world was ready. I think they weren't ready for it to be 5 weeks of embracing the metal.
So, Happy, I'm going to ask you strictly. Would you think it's appropriate to say that A4 is kind of gear-gated?
Yeah! It would be dead right now if it wasn't for gear requirements. Absolutely. A3 Savage, don't feel that was a gear gate. I feel that gear just gave you margin for error, which it always has in the past. I honestly think A3 Savage could have been beaten the very first week.
But do you think that's fair?
Well, it nearly was, wasn't it?
Do you think the whole gear gate is fair?
I think that to some degree you need gear gating. I think it's an okay thing, because not only does it prevent groups from flooring your game over immediately, but it gives people this constant. To some people, it's not always a gate. To some people, it's a ladder they climb to get to their destination. Like, you can't beat A1 Savage. Guess what? Now you got your SO weapon. Beat A1 Savage. Moving on to A2. You beat A2. Now you got. Guess what? You got your ring this week. You got a few pieces from A1 and A2. Now you're climbing up to A3. You got a few pieces from A3 now. You got a few more weeks of SOs. You're climbing up to A4. It's only a gate to the people going in immediately and literally just learning everything and being like, okay, well, that's the limit.
So, and that's what I was about to ask was, do you think that this was a way to kind of block players from clearing this quickly? Because I kind of agree with what the devs were thinking, if I'm right in terms of what they were thinking, in that they wanted to create a roadblock for us to kind of, get past in terms of, trying to clear Savage quickly. Like, I'm glad. In a way, I'm kind of glad that I'm on A2, but in a way, I'm not looking forward to getting to Godwalker. Again, we'll talk about it in post-show. I'm not looking forward to that bullshit.
We're not gonna have a long post show today. I hope you know that.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm good. But, yeah. Do you think this was a way to prevent us from clearing this too quick?
Absolutely. They were tired of. They were like, "Oh, Final Coil 5 days? Haha, fuck you." Absolutely.
Well, there's no other reason to do it other than longevity of the content. That's the only reason to make a gear gate.
They design a fight with a certain item level in mind. And like somebody brought up in the chat, they recently said they designed these fights with 80% of perfection in mind. because they understand human error is a thing. They design that with their
Are we gonna go back to the whole machine thing and
not even this, but it's the fact that they may have designed it with 80% in mind, but they designed it with 80% in mind in a certain gear level. A gear level that we don't know what it is. For all we know, it could have been fucking full 210 that they designed A4 in. Even though all full 210 isn't even possible minus the weapon. Well, it is, but the weapon, you can't have a 210 weapon. You can be full 210 without beating A4 Savage minus the weapon. It's just a matter of that almost looks like bullshit. Because that's only one part of the equation. The other part is 80% of what item level worth of perfection.
So,
but the point is still it sucks for the super hardcore players, but
means
it's all
nothing
about
for
this gear
anyone
ladder.
else.
But by the point the mid-core people get to A4, they are mathematically going to be massively overgeared for it, and they're not ever going to experience that wall.
But the thing
that wall is only going to be experienced by like a dozen groups.
But they will experience the wall
lower
of
tier groups
of the fight being difficult.
Yeah.
And that is perfectly fine, because honestly, that is a great feeling. Those first few floors you go in where you're like, this is doable in the gear we have. We play better. We do better. It's motivating. It's demotivating to hit a fight, literally see everything and be like, well,
there's nothing we can do. Yeah.
We're literally fucked.
Yeah.
That's not...
I cannot imagine anything... Oh, that's the worst, dude.
So, in terms of what we've seen in the past, what skill sets do you think we do need? And, like, do you think any coils in the past kind of prepared us for this? Because, honestly, I don't think any, like, 1 through final prepared us for this. Like, I really don't.
Prepared healers, maybe. That's about it. Even that's a light statement. I literally only say that meaning final coil and second coil savage, the only place where healers started learning, hey, I can DPS.
I think a lot of it is just repetition. It's motor memory, you know. If you're a new player, you're still learning, when to hit certain cooldowns. You're learning your rotation like from the ground up. Doing something over and over and over and over and over through first to final coil. The three of us anyway, we all know that the base of our jobs is motor reflex. It's impulsive. We don't need to think about it. We never really need to look at our bars. Would we be prepared for it without coil? Probably not, because without coil we wouldn't be motivated to play that much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if it was just dungeons and stuff like that, we'd just come on, we'd face roll, we'd cap, and we'd go away, and we wouldn't really have kind of optimized our jobs. So I guess I'm trying to make coil seem like it's more worthwhile than it seems at the moment.
All right.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. But I'll take it back a step. For newer players, and I'll take this in FPS terms.
They're fucked.
In terms of FPS lore, one of my favorite stories is Halo. Don't judge me, Barbara Jean. Don't judge me. But like Catherine Halsey in Halo, she picked kids for the Spartan program because they were open to learning, and that kind of brings it to where we're at now. Do you think new players would be kind of better at this because they're open to learning rather than experienced players who think they know their shit but they actually don't?
If you've got experienced players that think they know their shit and they actually don't, like I say, they probably weren't on the bleeding edge at any point during coil. They're people that have done it through Echo and have thought, all right, I can clear the hardest content in the game. I'm sweet, I don't need to improve. And I think you're right that if they realize at the moment that they're hitting a wall of their own skill, it's going to be a lot harder for them to concede that they're not playing optimally compared to someone who's just picked up the game. But I feel like coil has just given people so many opportunities to reflect on how they play the job and stuff like that, the people who have done it, they're in a better position. They're not the only people that are in a good position. It's accessible to new players. But, yeah, I don't know.
Happy? What do you think?
I see what you're saying.
I think my ultimately, you're either cut out for it or you're not. I don't care if you're new. I don't care if you're experienced.
I agree with that.
I think you either have the mentality to beat it, or you do not have the mentality or the mental fortitude to beat it.
Straight up Gordon Ramsay.
Bottom line, if you deep down are in the middle of progressing on a fight and you go, I don't care anymore, you're not going to beat that fight. You've given up. If you're either
but how many stacks have gone through that already though?
Exactly, but that's the thing. You have to have the mentality for it. It doesn't matter if you're new. Okay, perfect example. New player. I duty finder turn 5 once back in A Realm Reborn. Brand new player tank first time in there, was the only first timer. He played perfectly. He said he had never done the fight. All he knew was the mechanics. Guess what? Within a month, that guy made it all the way to turn 13 and beat it. Brand new player because he had the mentality for it.
So you feel, again, going back to the whole Spartan program, Halo, you feel like new players have a more receptive mind, or more receptive mindset than players who think they, quote unquote, know shit.
I think they do. I think new players are better off than players who have experienced the game. I feel like they are more willing to learn.
Okay.
Because it's all about mentality. Doesn't matter how long you've been playing. Just doesn't matter. If you have the mentality for it, you will surround yourself with the people who have the same mentality, and you will push forward.
Well, I guess the interesting thing is that the people that did and didn't have that mentality in A Realm Reborn, they've already been filtered. The new players have kind of got an opportunity that everyone had at the beginning of Realm Reborn, which is like, you know, what kind of player are you going to be? You're going to be a receptive player who learns, or you're going to be a stubborn douchebag who thinks that, you know, you can play perfectly after doing it for 2 weeks and you won't listen to anyone give you any kind of advice. So the new players, I feel like they have an opportunity to be more receptive. It doesn't mean that they are necessarily all more receptive.
Yeah. I don't know. New players, I have faith in you. I'll say that.
That's a really great question, though. That's
yeah.
I believe in you, new players. I have seen the paladin with no experience and full I-70 or full like I-80 with an I-90 weapon go into turn 5 when final coil was the relevant content and get through it for the party duty finder and get through turn 6 to 9 the duty finder, find a static for final coil and beat it despite the fact he was brand new.
You guys are Master Chief. Again.
I believe you. I believe you new players can be just like that paladin.
Y'all are Master Chief.
Just learn how to play your job somewhere along the way. Just make sure you learn how to play your job somewhere along the way, and you should be all right.
All right. So gonna go to a subject that I really don't like to talk about, even though I call it training. But people like to call it practice. I gotta go Allen Iverson on this. We talking about practice.
All right.
We sitting here. We gotta deal with damn Savage and shit, and y'all want to talk about practice? Practice. You talking about practice? Yeah. So was it necessary to go into the old raids just to kind of prepare for this? Because in all honesty, I feel like it wasn't. What are you going to gain from the old raid that's going to prepare you for Savage?
Other than the Savage second coil thing that we were already talking about earlier,
yeah.
I mean, there's not really all that much there, is there?
No.
I mean, people shouldn't feel like, oh, I didn't do coil, so I should be really kind of apprehensive about getting into Alex Savage. No, you'd be fine. Just spend some time practice.
Practice. The best way to practice is to do what's relevant now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not your old level 50 rotation.
If you want to challenge yourself maybe as a player, that's where you go back and you do the I-110 stuff. Like we tried doing an I-55 turn 5 Almost had to win a few times. That was a great amount of fun. But we knew the fight in and out. We were gating ourselves gear wise. That was all we were doing. Mechanically, the fight was fine. We were just gating ourselves to see if we could overcome it. Knew our job's good enough to pull out the DPS, know the healing, know the cooldowns, whatever. But
so you feel like this kind of quote unquote practice kind of helped you prepare your jobs optimally?
I'd say no matter what, you have to learn your job for every individual fight.
Doesn't answer the question though. Answer the question.
But I mean, the way it is though, you could do an old fight as much as you want. Your job is different in every fight. Your role is the same, but your job is different. You are a DPS, a healer, or a tank. But guess what? When I'm doing A3 Savage, I gotta know, well, the boss is going to be hittable for 55 seconds. I can get this amount of abilities in. My last ability will be this. My first ability following up when the boss comes back is this ability. What's my next choice after that? Should I put dots up right before the boss becomes untargetable? No, because guess what? That boss isn't going to take damage while he's untargetable, so putting up a dot right before then is useless, so it's a waste of a GCD. I got to go away from my determined rotation and actually do what's more optimal in this case. That changes on a fight-to-fight basis.
So do y'all think that this made in-game raiders, a.k.a. I wouldn't even say the world first tier, but just in-game raiders in general, do you think that this made them better as a whole?
Only if they wanted it to. Either that or they stuck to the same thing that they stuck to, and if it wasn't enough, it wasn't enough.
Wow.
I agree with that. That's the bottom line. You're either receptive to it or you're not.
So,
what do you think, Sly?
I really don't think. I really don't.
Seem kind of flawed by it. I'm surprised.
I really don't think. I really don't think that it did. Like, for me personally, like from a Spartan standpoint, like learning from the beginning, learning from like start to finish, everything that I've seen from first coil to where I am now. Hell no, I don't feel like this shit prepared me at all. Like, I feel like I was underprepared.
Do you feel like you could have been better prepared? Do you feel like there could have been some intermediary content?
Yeah, I really honestly feel that way. I feel like there should have been...
What would that have looked like, do you think?
What we have now.
Then you got your practice. There, you don't need anything else.
Yeah, exactly. We have our practice now. And it's like, here you go. It's just throwing us through the sharks, basically. And in a way, I kind of like that. Maybe I'm a masochist, but in a way, I kind of like that, where I'm learning as is. Again, spoiler alert, I'm going into A2. We talked about this a little bit before the stream, but I'm going into A2. Never done a lick of a fucking Godwalker ever.
You thought they were going to be fucking removed from the fight.
I did. I was hoping and praying that shit would happen. No, there are 3 of them bitches.
I can't believe you said that, dude.
There are 3 of them bitches.
When you said that, Happy and I were just like, what?
It's like, and then they added another one to slap you in the face.
Yeah, they added another one to slap me in the face, and then all of a sudden, this Monday, my raid leader, he decides, okay, well, he sends me a message via Facebook. 1, free up an LS spot because we're making a raid group, and 2, you're going to be in the Godwalker. Wait, what? I've never done a fucking Godwalker to begin with. Why are you putting me in this bullshit?
Here's what happened to you.
Oh my god.
Yoshi was watching when we were talking about our speculations about Floor 2, and he heard you saying no Godwalkers, and he's going, you know what? Fuck you, Sly.
I know. He put another one in there. He put
another one in, and then he called your raid leader, and he was like, I'm gonna fuck this guy. Fuck Sly.
And he fucked me over straight up.
Fucking second guessing my fight design, motherfucker.
Yeah. So that's the shit I'm going through right now. Just to let y'all know what's going on with Sly right now. Yeah. So. Oh god, I like really honestly, like I did it for the first time last night. I didn't have enough beer for that shit. I didn't have any beer for that shit. I felt so bad. I felt terrible after that shit. Now I have beer. I have a cooler full of Rampage. I still don't have enough beer for this bullshit. Even though I practice, Just talk. Somebody talk.
Somebody
You'll
talk.
be right, man. You'll get there.
Maybe we should just
There,
go to
there.
the community questions that came in from Twitter, because I don't think Sly can handle talk about practice anymore.
No. I don't want to talk about training. No more training. Let's go into questions.
All right, let's get to it. Question time.
So earlier in the week, the Dream Network Twitter asked a few people to tweet at them with questions regarding the topic or statements regarding the topic, things that we can discuss real quick here at the end of the show. Mind you, we still have something real quick to do after these questions are over. So first one comes in from at Derp Kiri, says, seriously speaking, wait, hold on, I gotta find the initial. I probably should have kept the initial post up. Anyway, seriously speaking, they did. Coils gave you a better understanding of your role and taught you to work towards a goal as a team. Talking about regarding learning, Coil as a learning step for Alexander Savage.
Wait. No. Go ahead. Everybody else, go ahead. No. For
We
me,
already
no.
covered this.
I mean,
Yeah,
you at least learned.
no.
I'd say this goes back to my whole role versus job thing. I think, maybe it taught you your role. I don't think it necessarily taught you your job. I will forever make that distinction from now on, because performing your role is one thing, performing your job is another thing.
But it depends on the role, though.
Yeah, of course it depends on
Doesn't
the role.
matter. Actually, I don't think it depends on the role, because every role.
I think it does. Like,
Every
in
role.
terms of currently, okay, really, you're gonna tell me legitimately, straight up, in terms of Savage right now, it does not depend on the role.
I think no matter what, it's one thing to know your role, it's another thing to know your job. But yeah, my role is DPS. I know I'm supposed to hit the boss. Guess what? My job is to do all of these things in a
That
certain order.
role is not going to be as quote unquote static as it is. Yeah, because then again, you're talking about. We just touched on this a minute ago. You're talking about someone who just DPS hit shit, and my role completely.
That's their
changed.
role. They don't know their job. That's it. It's about knowing your role versus knowing your job.
Wait, this is all about the Godwalker, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Like-
I'm still salty.
What did Coil teach you? Coil taught you how to get hit by a big-ass boss. It taught you your role. It didn't necessarily teach you how to play your job.
Exactly.
Didn't teach you how to drive.
It didn't teach you how to drive. No. It didn't teach you Mario Kart, because you got to know Mario Kart. You got to know how to pull bombs. You got to know how to stun at a certain specific time. You got to know how. That's
Alexander
it.
Normal taught you
Recharge.
how to do that. You should have done it back then.
I didn't have to.
You could have.
All right.
You know what,
fuck
Sly? That sounds like your problem.
I do have a problem. I really do have a fucking problem. Okay.
We have to get
I'll-
Yoshi
I'll-
back in there.
Yeah. I'll take the next one.
Fuck this guy.
Top Hat, aka at Top Hat, HATTE. I was too timid to go into Coil, since it always felt like you already had to be a master to get into PF groups, which meant it didn't feel like there was a way to get my foot in the door, and I can understand that. Alex Normal actually got me over that and helped a lot. The fights are different, but they still feel familiar enough to where I don't feel like I'm behind the curve when I'm going in.
Actually,
But that changes once you get into Savage.
I do feel like I like his mentality going in, though. The foot getting into Alexander Savage is much different than the foot getting into Coil, because try getting a final Coil static when you're new to the game and they tell you go beat turn 5, go beat turn 9 before you're allowed to apply to us. Here, eventually that's going to happen. People are going to want to see your A1 to 4 Savage experience.
But what raid groups or FCs are we talking about when we talk about
You're average. You're average.
That's,
You're average.
that's not even average.
I'm saying your average free company looking for a Savage static group might not necessarily. Oh, somebody's new to the game, and we're looking for this role. Are their numbers okay on a dummy? We'll take them into a few fights, see how they do.
Right? Yeah.
I feel the door is definitely easier.
I feel like you would need to test them out before you even kind of prejudge them. Asking the most basest of questions: what's your DPS? And from a DPS standpoint, what's your DPS? Let me take you into a fight, see what happens, yada yada yada. I just feel like it's too judgy.
I mean, it's always going to be judgy, but I do like this kind of outlook. I mean, all of the expansion is a reset. If you weren't able to get into certain things in A Realm Reborn, you have now another chance to get into it here. Ultimately, it's still going to culminate into how you approach getting into that piece of content. If you still go into it half-assed, yeah, it'll probably still end up with the same result you may have back then. But if you were legitimately gated out of it as a new player before, that gate's no longer there. And Alexander Normal being the only requirement to get into Savage and not Savage being the requirement to get into Savage, at least gets people's foot in the door.
Right.
I feel like that's not so much in virtue of the way it's designed like Normal and Savage at the moment, so much as it's a new expansion, it's a new game, it's a new meta. First Coil wasn't hard to get into. It wasn't intimidating because everyone was in the same boat. I feel like people will be expecting Savage 4 clears when they're recruiting for the next set of Alex Savage. I think they will. I think a lot of groups will anyway.
I don't know. It's hard to tell now because I still feel even just in near full 210 gear, I still feel so many groups aren't going to beat A4 Savage. I feel like they just can't make it. Maybe A3 Savage as a requirement, but even then, just only having to beat Alexander floor 8 normal to get into Savage gives you more of a chance than it did Final Coil being forced to go Duty Finder or Party Finder turn 5 for months on end before you can then go do the same thing with turn 9 before you can then be accepted. There's a little, I feel like there's less of a wall there, and with how
that's true,
how easy it is to overgear a 1 through 3, I feel like the wall is definitely lower here. I think that you just gotta, it's just, comes back to mentality for me. So the next question comes from @Greco23 Tony. Coil helped me get over my doubt as a player and gave me confidence in myself to learn difficult mechanics.
Bullshit. That's a good one. Sorry. Like, Coil, to me, it made me second guess myself. It really made me second guess myself. I was always like, am I doing enough DPS? Am I wiping the group? If I'm wiping the group, tell me. Use your words. If you don't tell me, I'm not going to know this shit, and y'all going to talk bad about me behind my back. Like,
that's the difference. That's the difference between ego and confidence, right?
Yeah.
Is that you can think that you're playing your job well, right? Then you go into difficult content, it breaks you down into little pieces and shows you the things that you aren't doing properly, and then you keep at it and you build it back together and you become a confident player rather than just a egotistical player. You have a sort of one-to-one kind of skill to perception. You know what I mean? And to me, that's what a confident player is.
Right.
And I agree with that. I think Coil would have done that for a lot of people.
Didn't do it for me. Nope.
If you did Coil before Echo, it definitely had more impact. Even if you weren't cutting edge, I feel like doing
Sly, this just comes back to your trust. This just comes back to your trust issues.
It's all my trust. It's all my trust, and it's really trust in myself more than anything. Because I didn't really trust myself to do anything. I felt like.
Do you think Savage will do that for you? Do you think if you clear floor 4 Savage before Echo, if there ever is an Echo, which let's hope not, will you come out of that?
Baby steps.
Yeah, but when you come out of that, will you feel confident? Do you think?
I feel confident. Okay, with A3 and A4, with me actually hitting shit, I feel more confident than I am right now in a fucking Godwalker. Because I feel like
you need to let this Godwalker thing go,
Shut
man.
up about the Godwalker.
I mean, I can't let this shit go. I really cannot let this shit go because I can't let this shit go because it's just out of my comfort zone. It's like I'm not hitting anything, but I'm in a fucking go-kart, just doing, stunning and doing all this. I'm not doing what I need to do. And I can't let this go. Hell no. Why the fuck? Fine. Go. Go.
I swear to God, if this gets brought up again,
it's going to get brought up again.
Anyway, the next question comes from @OmegaTaru. It says, I don't think it helped at all. None of the raid knowledge really is linear. None of the progress or excitement carry over. Even teams that progressed through coil broke down at the sight of Faust. Like many things, Savage lacks a learning curve. It was a learning mountain, and not many can get over it.
Told y'all that shit. Y'all ain't listen to me. But I ain't even see the side of the
But
note.
see, we're never debating this. We're not debating that going through coil did or didn't teach any individual anything. It all depends on when you got through it. That's the only thing we're kind of arguing. Like,
I don't even think it was a matter. I don't think it was a matter of time, though.
Because if you went into final coil when Echo was there, you have no idea what it was like going in with shit gear, and then having to overcome these challenges when they were at their maximum. You don't come away with as much in that sense.
Okay, I'll agree with you a little bit there, but I really don't think it was a matter of time, though. Like, again, first and second tip coil did not teach me anything. I did not get my mindset until I get final coil.
Okay.
I think most players are in that position because the player community is a lot larger now than it was then. So I appreciate what you're saying, Sly. Most people are in the position where coil wouldn't have done much for them.
Yeah.
On the flip side, there you've got to concede that the people who were pushing the bleeding edge and were hitting it when it was new content, it's about developing learning skills. It's about developing group synergy skills. It's nothing mechanical. It's nothing about your role, your job, or anything like that. It's just these broad general skills that you can learn pre-echo and are not really. You can learn them post-echo, but they're not critical. They're not. Right. You know, you can face roll through.
Right.
So that's what this question is getting at, and I think it's definitely reflecting the majority position towards Savage at the moment.
All right. I think we can finally land on the same page on that topic.
All right.
And
so
don't fucking say it, Sly.
I'm not going to say anything.
All right.
I'm going to take the last one. All
right.
So, at Kenchi0909 says, I think Coil taught you to work as a team and do your best, whereas Alex Normal prepared you for mechanics in Savage. That's where I disagree.
Yeah. I think it lets you identify them at the very least.
It lets you identify them, but at the same time, they're gonna get they get ramped up in Savage. So it didn't. I mean, it prepared you in a way for them, but it didn't prepare you for how hard they're gonna hit, or you know.
I think it prepared you in the same way that a video guide would prepare you.
Yeah, you know what you know. You have an idea, now do it.
Yeah, exactly. Where like a lot of people say, and I agree with this, is you can watch a video guide, you can watch Happy, you can watch Miz, you can watch anyone, and you know, like, oh, I think I'm prepared, and then go into the actual fight. No, you're not. You're not. Like, it's one thing to
going in blind.
Yeah, it's just one thing to actually watch something, than to actually, you know, experience the pitfalls and the wipes of the mechanics. So
yeah, of course,
that's just my opinion.
And
I think we're all on the same page there, aren't we?
Yeah.
Leveled.
I mean, we've beaten this topic like a dead horse.
Dead chocobo.
Yeah, that's as dead as dead chocobos get.
Mm-hmm.
Do the fights, beat them or don't beat them.
Exactly.
Win or don't win.
Who dares win?
Do or do not.
There is no try.
There is no try.
There you go. Do or do not. There is no try. All right, everyone. Now that we've adequately gotten all our frustrations of raiding in the past 2 years out in 2 hours.
That was very cathartic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And we all know really Sly doesn't have a driver's license now. He doesn't want one at all.
We've been sitting on a couch in front of like an auditorium of therapists.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I wouldn't even lay. I felt like I should be laying down right now. Again, I'm on the couch.
And then the tank pulled with provoke. Oh.
Oh my god.
So we're gonna wrap up the show here, but before we wrap it up, we actually have a giveaway that we're gonna do. You may have heard us mention this on last week's
though.
Woo! May have heard us mention this on last week's episode. We said we had the super secret giveaway. This was actually donated to State of the Realm by Brian Joyce. Thank you. It's actually something you can't get anymore. Unless you're, well...
Hey, good on you, Brian.
Yeah, something you can't get anymore.
Blue.
You don't even have the... So he doesn't have the soundboard, so he just says it.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's a Moogle outfit. You used to only be able to get these via... the fan festivals, actually subscribing to those streams.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure you can't subscribe to those streams anymore.
Nope. I still got my damn emotes though.
Yeah, they took them away from us for a while
For
there.
a minute, but yeah,
They were like, oh, we thought it was pretty clear that when the subscription went away, so would your emotes. And everyone's like, what the fuck? No. Oh my goodness. So we're just going to be giving away one of those real quick. So I'm just going to pull. If you guys want to talk with the chat a little bit while I'm pulling this up on screen and whatnot, feel free. Just because.
That'll be the next giveaway, Drew. I win a date with Ethys.
No, get Ethys to narrate your life for a day.
Yes. That is a prize.
Yeah.
Just follow you around.
There we go. See?
Just follow you around with a loudspeaker. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there we go. All right, I'm pulling this up on screen right now. I just got to fit it right between Sly and myself. There we go. Ultimate production value right here, guys. The ultimate production value. All right, there we go. So here's how it's going to work. It's going to be real simple. Everyone in the chat can enter. All you have to do is type something in the chat to let me know that you are here. That's it. If you're in the chat, if you're on this list here on the left, which means you've said anything at all, you've been participating in the chat at all, you're good to go. I don't want to just spam in the chat with the friggin' keywords or anything.
Use your outside voice.
There you go. Just let us know you're here, and it'll be automatic. See, there we go. And now you can. Now here's the best part. You get to look through the chat and look for the people who either wrote penis. Or
something.
Or just the word something, or emotes, or...
I haven't seen a single penis yet.
I saw one penis.
No. You did?
And now we're going to see many, many, many more because I said it out loud, so... Notice me, senpai. There we go. There's Panis. That was Sly who wrote that! That was Sly who wrote Panis.
Yes! Woo!
Oh my god.
We did it! We did it.
Oh my god. There you go. Alright, we're going to make this giveaway pretty quick. I'm just going to give everyone another, like... it's when it's 9:19 p.m., but then I'll pull the winner. As they do say, my life is potato. I can't get that video out of my life. Sly, I got to send you as many John Cena videos as humanly possible.
And his name is John Cena!
I am so surprised how addicted you've become to this John Cena thing.
Like I've kind of fallen off of it. Like
bullshit.
A lot of people have tried to set it up, and like you got to do a really good job of setting it up.
It has to be accidental. It has to just
it's like
something you were gonna say anyway. Giggity.
Yeah, he just says like, no, that's too easy. No, it's like that for me. It's like you have to do a good job of setting it up. It has to be unintentional / accidental. And Guy from my stream, shout out to that guy.
Shout out to that guy.
That guy. Yeah, he does a good job of setting it up, even though he doesn't realize he's setting it up.
All right, I'm going to pull a winner right here. So whoever ends up winning it, I'm going to send you the code pretty much right away. Winner is Streltus. There you go. Is that Foamy the Squirrel?
Hey!
Is that picture Foamy the Squirrel? You just have to say something in the chat so I know you're actually here.
Use your words.
Use your words.
Use your outside voice. Use your outside voice.
What the fuck was that?
I don't have my soundboard. I'm sorry.
You don't need the soundboard, Sly. You've got it all down, man.
Yeah.
You've got it all down. I'm only going to give this a minute to reply. Oh, there it goes. There we go.
There we go.
Hey. Yes, it is. It is Foamy the Squirrel. Good. I needed to make sure that their image was actually Foamy the Squirrel. All right, let me send them their code real quick so that way I don't forget to do it after the show. Grats. Go to...
Tweet a screenshot at us, straight at us.
Go to the Mog Station to get it. I know. Great instructions, right?
Yeah, good job.
I mean, that's what you got to do. It's item redemption.
Good job.
There you go. All right, everyone. I think we've had a hell of a show. Next week, we will have a 14-hour live broadcast to talk about. We're not doing a 14-hour show, to be clear.
No.
Hell no. No.
I got shit to do.
No,
I need a lot of beer for that shit. I need monsters and barbecue and everything. Can't do that shit without it. So, no, that's not going to happen. Sorry.
Yeah, pretty much. So we're going to have a live letter to talk about and anything else that comes out of that show. So next week should be a relatively 3.1 related show because we should be getting a lot of info about that. So that way we can finally find out that we're going to the moon. We have Ethys here.
Moon
as
man!
Our guest.
All I hear is clicking. What do I hear clicking? What the hell?
All right, here it comes.
Fuck you, man.
I feel like if only your bed wasn't behind you, I would just imagine you yelling into a pillow. All right, Ethys, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you, YouTube, Twitter, all the good stuff.
All right, so I'm Twitter at Ethys FFXIV, I think. Yeah, that's right. And youtube.com/EthysAsher. That's pretty much it. I'm here once a month, so keep following this. And if you ever want to see me eating the floor as a dragoon, then I play with Lady Rewind when she's streaming. We're normally raiding, so check that out sometime.
There you go. And you just put out an Ulda lore video today, didn't you?
I did.
Yes,
And it's a bit scary, but Type 0 HD is out today. Sly, you talked me into it. I may have promised a couple of people that I was going to do a Let's Play of it.
Do it.
So that's going to be happening, and if it's no good, then Sly, I'm coming for you. Coming for blood.
I don't care. Just do it.
All right. So keep an eye out for that, guys.
All right. Ethys, thank you again for being a guest on the show. Okay. I thought he froze for a second here. There's just no reply. He's just like, yeah, all right, I'm here. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. You're welcome. Sly, where can they find you, my man?
You can find me at twitch.tv/Slyakagreyfox. You can find me on Twitter at Slythefox. You can find me on Instagram at Slyakagreyfox07. You can find me on Behemoth as Fox Sly at Plot 14, Ward 5 of the Lavender Beds, home of the Foxhole, home to the Foxhound FC. So that's where you can find me. Boom.
And Sly, by the way, you have a new nickname. It's just Sly, a.k.a. Girl! Please tell me somebody's making a gif of that at the end of the show, please.
Oh.
Somebody make a gif of that. And just have the girl... You know how, like, when it starts with just the G and the U and the R just, like, roll over and the word just gets super long? Like, somebody, please, make it happen. And I am the other host, Michael, Mr. Happy Poveromo. You can find me at YouTube, Xehanort1227. Get that one out of the way early this week. And then Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Mr. Happy1227. Everything else, it's pretty normal. There you go. Nothing too fancy for me. And I don't have any fancy house to talk about or whatever. It's just nothing. It's me. It's whatever. Yeah.
Because childhood. Yeah,
we childhood. Yeah. It's been explained to death. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. The post show is going to be incredibly short today because Ethys has to go and I have to go very shortly as well. So we're going to go over the post show for a couple minutes, wrap things up, and then we will see you next week for the next episode of State of the Realm where we talk about the next live letter in patch 3.1. Everybody, we'll see you on the moon.
Bye.
Except Ethys. All right, and we're in post show.